This program is brought to you by Hungry Jack's and Bunnings Trade.
Here we go. The Brisbane Bullets taking on the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. Now, I think the Phoenix win this game purely because they've just got a bit more firepower. This is two offensive teams going head-to-head here, and I'm going to back the firepower for the Phoenix. Although it's been a long time since we've seen them, we've got to go back into history and see how they play on days like this. And I'll tell you what, they absolutely love day games. Their last 11 day games, it might be a niche stat, but history usually repeats itself. They love these day games. They've won their last 11. I think they'll continue that one here. They've also hit the overs in their last 11 day games. So they know how to score the ball and they know how to win. That's enough for me. But remember to start a group this NBL season and jump on Bet with Mates. Enjoy and most importantly, gamble responsibly.
Me get crossed off, I'm so fresh, I'm so raw. Go hard like a day. So the tragedy is daytime like game day. Ball hard and clutch play. It's game time like game day. Team on a mission. This NBL22 season, the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix.
Hello and welcome to Nissan Arena in Brisbane. Hungry Jacks NBL continues with two finals contenders, the Bullets and the Phoenix. Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, many experts picked to win the whole lot, but coming off a 28-day break without a game, not played since before Christmas. Great to have your company, wherever you might be watching. Great to have the company of the greatest of all time, Andrew Gaze, and Melbourne United Championship winner, Peter Hooley. Welcome, guys.
You're very kind, Dwayno, and I'm really looking forward to this one. The Phoenix, they're a playoff-bound team. Most people are expecting that to be anyway, and I think this is going to be a big test for them. 28 days is a long time to have a spell. COVID issues along the way, Pete, and the first 5 minutes, as we saw with Brisbane when they played against the New Zealand Breakers, came out very sluggish. I think that first quarter is going to be a big testing period for this Phoenix outfit.
Well, you think they're probably going to try and slow the momentum down and bring the tempo just to try and work themselves into it. They haven't played for so long, and the last time they played was against the Kings. They were disappointing for the majority of that game.
Good.
Last quarter, they were a lot better, but they ended up losing that and have had to sit with that for the 28 days as well. So they get a chance here, but they're coming up against the Bullets, who they want to come and get this one on the home floor.
Nice segue, because also joining us downstairs, a little bit of NBL royalty, former NBL MVP Derek Rucker, and a short time ago he caught up with the Phoenix coach.
I'm here with Southeast Melbourne Phoenix coach Simon Mitchell. And Simon, 28 days without a basketball game due to the COVID pandemic. How have you kept your team anxiety-free, but also natural, relaxed, and ready to play this game?
Yeah, I guess for the majority of that time, we've been preparing for games. And as the game got postponed, there's a little bit of disappointment. So we just find other ways. You know, we go have a game of soccer or something else to try and take our minds off anything that sort of was disappointment. But we've been a great group of guys. They're really focused, and we've got goals this year that are pretty lofty. So we just keep reminding ourselves, hey, we've got to lock in if we want to get better. So that's been us.
So is this game about how you guys perform, or are you more focused on the scout and seeing if you can shut down the Bullets? You've had a chance to see them play, and so what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, a little both. You know, really important that we get off to a good start, that we that we avoid the rust that's going to be, I guess, natural given our period away. But Brisbane's a good team. They probably sold themselves a little short on what they can achieve last week, but that's going to be us and all the teams during this period. You know, they've had some guys that have been ill, and they come in and you say, oh, they look sluggish. Well, yeah, that's going to happen. So they'll be better for the run tonight for sure.
All right, Simon, thank you and good luck today.
All right, thanks, Derek.
To their DoorDash starting five, hungry, thirsty, all of the above. Just DoorDash it, place your order now.
Well, there you go. Big Joe Chi. They're going to run with the same starting five they have been for a while. Ryan Brokoff not there, so Ruben Tarangi's going to come into it. But Joe Chi, you like obscure stats, Drewy?
Talk to me.
They've got 20 blocks as a team, Phoenix. Yes. Joe Chi has 17 of them, so this man is a massive presence on the defensive end, and they are a very deep and talented roster. they're going to have their hands full in this one.
Well, they certainly are, and Brisbane there with Big Luke. The matchup is going to be huge. Nathan Sobey, his numbers have been down. Shooting percentages, he's only at 35%, 23% from the three-point line. They need him. And Dremic, big defensive assignments that he's going to have, dealing with Creek and, of course, Mumford. I think that he can play a big role. But this Brisbane team a lot's going to be determined on what that man does there. Robert Franks, he has been fantastic. 19 and 10 on the season. And when you're trying to replace one of the best players in the competition in Vic Law, gee whiz, Sam McKinnon and the Brisbane administrative staff have done a great job bringing in a star in Robert Franks.
Steve Taylor Jr., power forward from Marquette, was in Australia visiting his girlfriend Tiffany Mitchell, WNBL star, and gets a call.
Well, what better way to do it? You're coming around to visit your superstar girlfriend, get the call up. Phoenix have signed Brandon Ashley, who he is replacing right now, which is going to be just a fascinating addition to an already really deep team. But how good's that? Gets a chance to play, and you're playing against the Bullets in a packed-out armoury.
Well, Dwayne, he's travelled the world. He played at the University of Marquette, which is a big-time school, Dwayne Wade-type territory, I believe. And
he's played in France, Hungary, Turkey, Greece. Was on his way to Saudi Arabia. Contract there, so here he is.
He's a big fella. Had his last season he played in Italy, he had a 36-point game. So he can put some numbers on the board. Don't know, haven't seen a lot of him, and just good fortune in Australia at the right time, and an opening comes up and he's pinch hitting.
So great to have your company around the world for what might be the most watched game in NBL history, with the two Chinese superstars, Zhou Qi and Juan Xing Lu. So if you're watching through China, welcome to the Hungry Jacks NBL. And we're underway. Lamar Patterson's going to be a big part of this story as well. Bullets with the first use. Back to Lamar. Beautiful. And the pass was absolutely delightful to Tyrell Harrison.
It was just a great play. Coming straight out the gates. They get the little steal off the tip, but then they bring Nathan Sobey up high and let Harrison get a free run to the hoop. Just an outstanding set to start the game.
But what it is, there's an unsportsmanlike foul, and it's going to be on Zhou Qi, and it's going to be because of the head-high contact. So we're going to see a couple of free throws. Here it is what you were talking about. When you have the threat of two screens going either way, takes away a lot of that help in the on-ball screen. And down here, we have a look at the elbow that Zhou Qi, there it is, he got held up there. And it was the right elbow. I think it was inadvertent, but it's going to end up in a couple of free throws.
Well, they're having a look at it now. It's all unsportsmanlike. So they are going to review it to potentially downgrade it, which is what happens with unsportsmanlike foul. You can always get to review. You don't challenge unsportsmanlike foul. I don't think this will be downgraded, because you saw the contact first and then went with like a second effort, and there's that, you can see the hit. So there's the contact first, and then it was almost like a frustration, but just trying to get out of my way. The smaller guard with Zhou Qi coming across.
Well, the thing is, Halls, is he got held first. So he's getting held, and then I don't think it was intentional. I just think it was the size difference that he extends the elbow out. I think this call will stand, because any time you get an elbow to the head, you can't just ignore that. And I suspect that that'll remain as an unsportsmanlike that results in a couple of free throws.
I'm definitely with you. I think this is going to be hard to overturn, because you watch the first contact from that there, and then Zhou Qi tries to get across, swing his arm across, which a lot of bigs are taught to swing your arm, but as you said, with the height, it definitely cleans up Sobey across the face. And
actually, the more I see it, the worse it starts to look. But I still stand with the fact that I think it...
So the original...
Just trying to listen to Simon Mitchell.
The original foul, there's been original blocking foul called on Nathan Sobey beforehand, and then almost the retaliation kind of contact from Zhou Qi right there.
So there'll be a foul still on Sobey, if that's what you're... Is that what you're hearing?
As they're looking just to potentially downgrade this. I'm not trying to kick off 2022.
Blocking foul on number 20, 0 for Brisbane. And then we've got an unsports-alike on 26 and 2 shots to Sobey's dead.
There you go. Spot on, Drew. That's exactly... So you get the original blocking foul, which is what held up Zhou Qi. And then Zhou Qi, as he was trying to swing to get position after that bump, a legal bump from Sobey. Copped him across the chin and unsportsmanlike foul.
And this will do Sobey the world of good. As I said, his numbers have been down. His form is not terrible, but his numbers have been down. His shooting percentage is only 35% from the field on the season, 23%, 10 of 42 from the three-point line. And even with those numbers, in the few games he's played, he has hit some big threes. So although they're down overall in clutch moments, Sobey has still been able to deliver from the three-point line. And when you're shooting poorly, to pick up a few easy, cheap ones to start with, a couple of free throws, just to see the ball go through the rim, can do your confidence the world of good.
See what Patterson's confidence is like. Hands it off, and that's not a replay. That's just how they scored it the first time. Popped in by Tyrell Harrison after Patterson did the hard work. Liafa getting the start. Little up fake. Back to the second highest scorer in the competition this season, Mitch Creek. Back to Liafa, it rims out. Second effort, oh, and rejected. Well, Harrison's pretty big himself. In fact, if it wasn't for the fact Yuan Ching Lu and Joe Chi are playing in this one, he'd be the tallest player in the game, and that was brilliant. Doing it at both ends. From outside the arc, all net from Nathan Sobey, and that's his 300th.
That is a real good start, 9-0, and they're perfect 3 of 3 from the field, the Brisbane Bullets, and I'm surprised that Brian Brockhoff didn't start this one. I know his form hasn't necessarily been great.
300 threes for Nathan Sobey. That's from way outside the arc as well. Had a little look. Sobey pulls down the rebound.
As expected, just a bit disjoints on the offensive end for the Phoenix. They try and settle into this one. Good pass there from Sobey. There's Joe Chi with his first block of the game.
Drimic. Trying to get past the trees and found the bucket on a little fadeaway.
Well, they've got everything they wanted. Their sets, the penetration, the dish, the defensive effort by the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix in this first few minutes has been poor. There we see down the other end, Harrison using his size.
214 centimetres, so...
Now, that's not a bad closeout, but here, look at... I mean, he just dribbles to his spot inside the paint, and it's an easy shot. The penetration, the extra passes to Harrison, been breaking down, and I'm sure Simon Mitchell, this will be about defence.
Yeah, a little bit of reaching going on down defensive end, guys. First play? All right, so we go down, we got too big on this next one. Okay, so if they're gonna hold that up, play on that one. You can get a hit on that one too, Craig. You don't have to go to get downhill. Do you want to bring it out the other side, go to the right? Okay, so this time, Joe, Creaky, one, come up, bring it up, cross screen, straight downhill on this one. All right, hey, get a job done, guys. You're solid, we reset here.
If you don't have it, guys, come up, middle pick and roll.
1, 2, 3.
Well, you mentioned Gazy with Ruben Trungi starting in place of Ryan Brockhoff, and I think a lot of it would probably be for the defensive mind. When you're coming out, you know that you might be a bit rusty offensively, but to put him on Lamar Patterson initially, but you're right, and they looked like they really did try and slow down on the offensive end and try and methodically get through stuff, but credit the Bullets. Their intensity, their energy has just been far better than the Phoenix so far, and then on the other end, they can get whatever they want. And that play highlighted by Drimic, who just walked into a little mid-range jumper.
Simon Mitchell's mentioned it a couple of times this week. He mentioned it to Derek Rucker pre-game. There might be rust, and he mentioned it in an interview during the week. There might be rust, given they've had 28 days without a game, haven't played since prior to Christmas. They're down 11-0. Turn, and it wobbles its way out. Joe Chi nearly got them rolling. Sobey.
Well, their game 28 days ago, they shot poorly. In fact, their worst shooting performance in the short history of their club, only at 33%, and they've had 28 days to figure it out, and it's...
Oh, there's a rejection from Joe Chi again.
And it's an 0 for 5 start by the Phoenix.
Hard contact.
That's going to go the other way. That's an offensive foul. Ruben Tarangi just going straight through Nathan Sobey. Didn't have to move at all, but Joe Chi, a couple of blocks early in this one. Really good timing, as we expect right here. That's going to be a charge every day of the week.
Speaking of Derek Rucker, NBL MVP back in 1990. Great to have him back this season. Have you seen it from your angle, Derek?
Thanks for having me, Dwayne. And yes, it feels great to be back. And look here, talk about being back. The Phoenix haven't found their way. They wanted to attack the Bullets inside, just like we saw the Breakers do last week. Joe Cheese just come up a little bit short early. They exploit him on a Spain action, and a nice dip from LP to Drimmick right there. It's a 13-0 run right now, Dwayne. But back to Joe Cheese, they've got to get him going, and the Bullets can just attack him now, because I think Phoenix are really fragile now, Dwayne.
Yeah, well called. Derek Rucker, three-time NBL All-Star. And that's why we pay him the big bucks. I think we've picked it. Our special comments guys, Andrew Gaze, Peter Hurley, Derek Rucker early. The rust has certainly been there. Xavier Munford's been one of their stars who has been able to train. He's been unaffected by the COVID shutdowns. Finds Liafa. He can't nail it. And Simon Mitchell mentioned that as well. Training's been restricted because they haven't had the full complement to come to training during the 28 days.
And strategically here, what we're seeing, we saw in their last outing, they only had 26 points inside the paint against the Sydney Kings. And their efforts to say, well, we need to change this up and get into the paint. Already they've had 7 field goal attempts. 4 of them have come from the three-point line. They're 1 of 7 from the field. And I think Simon Mitchell would like to see a little bit more rim pressure, either off the bounce or the post-ups.
Franks, early sider is all net.
Wide open. There's a guy that's been shooting the ball lights out.
And another turnover. Sobey. Patterson. Got some guys who can score and score heavily. This is one of them. Step back 3. Little push under the bucket.
Hey, let's go. Let's walk away. Let's walk away, both. Let's do it. Come on.
Joe Chi, Anthony Drimmick.
3.
I think there was another inadvertent elbow by Joe Chi, and that's what they're getting upset about.
Okay. All right, no problem.
Joe Chi will have a rest. As Peter Hurley told you, leading the NBL in blocks.
All right, here we go.
Chinese superstar. 22 NBA games for Houston. If you haven't been watching this season, and he gets better and better with each passing game. He's been a dominant force with his blocks. 4.25 per game. Kyle Adnam now out there. See if he can reach into his bag of tricks. Gets it back, Kyle. Shot clock at single figures. That's a pull up for the 2. Another stop.
The tempo of their offense doesn't look right. Really, a little misdirection with the dribble handoffs. This big
Chuan Ching Lu on the floor. Didn't get any luck there.
Well, that's Kyle Adnam coming across to help put his body on the line. Would have probably got a charge because it's going to be tough for Big Lou to slow down when he's rolling at that pace.
And Big Lou, for the record, is bigger than Big Joe. Big Lou is, well, it's the tallest player ever to play in the NBL. 2 meters 26, 7'5".
Wow.
With around an 8'4" wingspan. If you go on, well, Taco Fall 7'6", 8'4" wingspan. It's a big wingspan as he tries to pull down this rebound.
And I think it's about also trying to figure out how you can use him. He's only averaging the 4 minutes a game, and getting him as close as you can to the paint. And have a look at the tallest players. There you see him on your rig. Kai Soto is another on the screen. Kai Soto is another one we haven't seen too much of for the Adelaide 36ers. Jock Perry, again, he's an Australian. And he's with the Jack Jumpers. With some good size.
As you saw Tyrell Harrison, who's in this game, as Sobey hands it back at Kadee, off balance. The foul and the 3 to go with it. He'll go to the line for the extra.
6. If you think of this Phoenix team, and they've played 5.5 minutes, and they only got 2 points on the board. Yes, they've got their problems on the defensive end, but offensively, there you see the foul with Kyle Adnam. Offensively, it's been poor, and give a lot of credit to the Brisbane Bullets. Good intensity, coming off a difficult loss to the New Zealand Breakers on their home court, and they've come out and shown the fight on the defensive end.
And we saw early the intent to throw it inside to the big fella and say go to work, but with no Ryan Broekhoff out there, the defense just stayed still and no one was moving. And when you've got a shooter of Broekhoff's quality, granted he hasn't knocked him down to the degree we thought he would so far this season, it changes the way the defense has to play when the ball goes into the post. So everyone was just real stagnant. Now they've got to get back to find something on the offensive end because a lot of their points are struggling. Their shots are hard to come by.
Air ball. And a push under the bucket. And Dane Pino's out there at the moment, trying to give some valuable minutes.
Well, there's a difference. You will see the way they play defense when Pino's out there. The way he hedges on ball screens, his energy is going to be completely different to the way they have to load up behind Joe Chi when he's on the perimeter. He's now standing defender underneath the rim. But what happens when they pull him out, which the Bullets did early? Dane is a completely different player than that.
Get on the rim, the screen, Krebs foul. I mentioned the height as well, Chuan Ching-Lu, 7'6", so is Taco Fall. Chuan Ching-Lu, 7'5". Yao Ming, 7'6". George Murchison, 7'6".
Georgie Murchison, yeah, I played with Big Gitzer.
Did you?
He was with the Washington Bullets, and yeah, terrific fella. And he also was one of those NBA players because of his size. He went on to star, well, I wouldn't say star.
You played with George Murchison?
Appeared in a few mirrors.
Right.
Absolutely, I did. And what a presence he had on the floor, and pretty mobile. Had this issue with he got that size because of a growth on one of the glands, and had to regularly go in to have surgery in order to maintain it. It wasn't a malignant situation, but still needed to be addressed. And yeah, big size, big presence.
Mitch Creek with the putback. He was up there for the rebound and drew the foul. We'll go to the lines. We head back down to Derek Rucker. How are you seeing it from your angle? And it's great to have the two Chinese superstars in this game head-to-head.
It is, Dwayne, and right now I think the Bullets have won this early chess match. I thought Tyrell Harrison did an outstanding job on Big Chi, neutralified him, and that block shot was outstanding. And the Bullets did a good job of exploiting him. They were able to get him in some pick and rolls. You saw Franks hit the pick and pop three, and right now they've got Lou in the game, and Lou is doing a really good job on Pino. This is a tough game for the Phoenix to come out here and try and win, and right now, Drewy, I don't know if you notice it, but the Phoenix, they're just getting out-hustled as well.
100%. And we saw a little bit, not as dramatic as this, we saw a little bit of this from the Brisbane Bullets last week in their game against the Breakers, coming back off a COVID pause in the season.
And this is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, this margin. Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, a lot of people expect, presuming they'll play finals and might even go the whole way. It's going to be a big hole for them to get out of now, but they are the kind of team that can do it. Sobey steps it in. Broekhoff on the floor now. And good defensive piece of work, but he's copped one to the mouth, and it's still a Bullets ball.
You're just seeing all those little things that come with playing over time and keeping that momentum going. There was a good pass from Kyle Adnam. Dane Pino just wasn't ready for it. We've seen them really go to Mitch Creek before that and a few possessions down the floor, trying to get him ripping towards the rim, and he's missed a couple little short floaters from the block, which he normally makes. So trying to get Mitch Creek really involved in this one to just try and steady the tide on the offensive end, but just haven't found all those connections that they had early in the season, which is expected. But right now, you've just got to dry the well up on the other end, because the Bullets are getting whatever they want. Because Jason Kenney misses a layup on cue.
So over to you, Mitch Creek. It's your team. Pulls up for three and had a hard look at it and then poked its way back out.
Well, they're going to have to create history for this season, because the biggest comeback so far has been a team was down by 19. That was the Adelaide 36ers against New Zealand.
It's an old sporting age, though. You don't want too big a lead too early, because there's a lot of time for the comeback. That was outstanding. I mean, it was dang.
It was great one-on-one defense, and then Mitch Creek, we don't often see that, just fell asleep on the weak side. Great play on the offensive end by Dang Dang, just to sneak in front of him. And Dane Pino had that all fixed, all worried about. Big Lou wasn't going anywhere. They get another two, and they just cannot score.
23 points now. This rubber band is stretching, but you know, the Phoenix have the talent to get back into it. from way outside again. Letting them fly at the least. Giving some entertainment. Burkhoff tried to pass that. Caught a finger. Krebs getting in the way of it. And they'll maintain possession.
Well, Big Lou is only averaging 4 minutes a game. He's already played 4 minutes in this one. So it's been good minutes and a luxury to get him out here for that extended period of time with this margin, and just super impressive performance on the defensive end, holding a team to 3 points.
And Creek fouled on the way. Will they count it? The continuation.
Well, they probably will. He's picked up the ball. As that little swipe from Tom Digbear was happening, there you go. Points will count. This can at least try and ignite something for the Phoenix. You just got to slowly take it by possession now. You're not going to get 20 points back in a minute. So we see here, good take from Mitch Creek. Foul there, dribble again. Good awareness for him. He's missed 2 of those ones we were talking about earlier. But Big Lou, as you mentioned, I love his work rate. You can hear James Duncan on the sideline yelling for him to roll hard. The way he sprints up, gets the screen on one end, dives down, makes sure the defense has to collapse. They're going to be really impressed with that, because he ends with 0 points, 0 rebounds, but he had a big impact when he was out there.
Well, the thing that surprised me a little bit with this poor start by Phoenix, and Simon Mitchell's throwing out a whole bunch of different combinations, is Xavier Mumford is being planted on the bench now.
And Mitch Creek's just gone to join him as well.
You have your 2 main guys we've seen so far on the bench at the same time, but Mumford in particular, he was given a pretty short leash. He's only played a little over 3 minutes. And
they should be fresh. Well, played for 28 days.
Well, clearly Simon Mitchell saw something early on with Xavier Mumford that he didn't like, I would assume, because it's an extended period of time that we're seeing him on the bench.
Well, we will say, in terms of having played for so long, being fresh, they have had to deal with COVID as well, so we're coming back from that health-wise, and here it is.
Steve Taylor on the floor, 206-centimetre American, who, as we said earlier, right place, right time, just happened to be in Australia visiting his girlfriend, WNBL star Tiffany Mitchell, and he got the call. Friend of Mitch Creek's. How would you like to play a couple of NBL games while you're here? Big minute coming up for the Phoenix, and here he is on cue. Tried for the tip, back out. Cam Glidden feeds it back in. Might as well get some value out of him while he's out there. And he couldn't put that one in either. Quickly down the floor. Tom Digbear handed it off, and off the glass. And they are wreaking havoc right now. The Bullets 30 points to 6, if you can believe that.
And they've got a lot of good value out of those on-ball screens. The roller guy, you can hear coach on the sideline telling his guys to dive, and they're finding him and getting rewarded with some easy opportunities around the basket. And that one missed by a good metre.
Air ball from Smith-Milner. Brock off. Smith-Milner. Bullets will get it back. You can see the shot clock, game clock, differential. Adnam tries to get his way past. That's rejected. Jack Salt playing a couple of big minutes to finish the quarter for the Bullets. Who takes the last shot? Lamar looks like he's sizing it up.
Yes.
And fouled on the way.
Another easy opportunity coming off the bounce. The penetration. Yeah, you need some help, but got to do a better job of sliding your feet. And that time, Taylor, he looked like he was anchored to the floor. Couldn't get those puppies sliding quick enough. And Lamar Patterson is crafty with his penetration, but you wouldn't call him explosively quick, but was still able to find a way to a relatively easy pathway to the basket.
Steve Taylor Jr. sucking in the big ones. 2.6 seconds left. (31-6). Cam Glidden to put it up from halfway. Can't bank it in. Don't adjust your sets. Yes, that is the quarter time score. 31-6. Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, who started this round second on the Hungry Jacks NBL ladder, coming off a 28-day break. Okay, the rust's off. Second quarter about to start soon.
Hey.
Well, those with long memories might know that the Bullets beat South East Melbourne Phoenix twice in the final round of last season and knocked them out of third spot. And the team that came into the round second on the ladder in a deep hole at quarter time here, 31-6.
Well, Phoenix are going about setting records the last couple of games, and the records that they don't want to have. They shot their worst ever field goal percentage against the Sydney Kings, and this first quarter with their 6 points is their worst ever points in a quarter with only 6. They beat their previous worst with 10, and that was in their first season of existence.
Xavier Mumford back out there, and the putback was just what they needed to start this quarter from Ryan Brockhoff.
Sorry, Dwayne, but it is not the worst quarter performance we've seen this season. Okay. Remember earlier on, the Sydney Kings against Melbourne United, they only had 5. So not a great start, and it's going to be some heavy lifting to work their way out of this one.
Kadee working on Ryan Brockhoff as we head back downstairs to Derek Rucker.
Well, in that quarter time huddle, Bullets coach James Duncan really emphasized the pick and roll. You can see up top they're running an all horns type formation, and they're hoping to really isolate defenders up top. You see they've done a really good job in the first half, and I think they just feel like they can't be guarded on the perimeter. And we see Kadee, Sobey, Drimmick, they keep getting to the paint, and that's just causing the Phoenix a lot of problems. Maybe time for a zone from the Phoenix just to try and switch this thing up a little?
Well, they did have a look at a zone, but it was one of those ones they showed zone, and I think that after the second or third pass, they were going back to a man-to-man. But, or maybe their defense is so bad it just looked like it. But what I think they need to do, I think they've got to try a radical change. Even on those on-ball screens, try reading it, blitzing it, just scrambling out of it to change the tempo of the game, because they're just getting to the basket way too easy.
So they've got some momentum back, at least. Mitch Creek, with a little help from Xavier Mumford, a couple of their former NBA stars with the Phoenix, starting to get warm finally. Floater on the run didn't quite work from Ding Ding.
Well, that's kind of what Gazy was talking about. Mitch Creek was just jumping over to help on Ryan Brockhoff with Lamar Patterson, who just slowly brought that ball over to the corner and just throwing something different out there. Told Ryan Brockhoff to get out, and then it caused Ding Ding to think he had the advantage to get downhill and came up short. So there you go. There's just the first thing of throwing something else at the Bullets defensively and see how they respond, because their defense as a whole from the Phoenix in that first quarter was just so poor that Bullets were just walking in, getting any shot they wanted.
Here is the X Factor. Xavier Mumford pulls up for 2 and drops it. So Xavier Mumford, 24 NBA games. Mitch Creek, 5 NBA games. Ryan Brockhoff, 59 NBA games, out on the floor now for the Phoenix, with some experience in big games, big competitions. And a little bit of luck again for Tyrell Harrison.
Well, that's just Lamar Patterson. They're putting the ball in his hands. They get him off that little screen to put him in the post with his back to the basket, and he's super effective at making the right decision. He knows he can score. He's got a little quick step back from anywhere on the floor, but finds Harrison for the easy 2 in the end. Gets the roll as Drimmick comes up short on what was a wide open 3 in the corner.
Smith-Milner out there with the Mitch Creek with the ball in hand now for 3. Off balance when he put it up.
Well, that's the last 2 possessions have been a no-pass offense. Mumford comes down and short arms a little mid-range, and that time a tough 3 ball off a no-pass offense by Creek. You don't want to, it's a long, long way back, but if you get in that mind where you're going to try and hurry it up to try and catch it up, sometimes you can be digging yourself an even bigger hole going through that.
That's what I mentioned in that first quarter. There's no 23-point shot, is there? And that's another one, just a no-pass offense. You come down and just, yes, you've already hit one of those to start this quarter, but you've got stops. You've got a couple of stops already in the second quarter, which you didn't get in the first quarter. Get through an offensive set and really make sure you get a good look.
Drimmick rattles it down, and that hurts even more.
Well, Brisbane Bullets have got a long, long history. That 25-point quarter time lead is their biggest ever in their history.
It's a long time ever.
That is a long time, Dwayno. And they're not a new franchise.
Well, there's the 3 from Drimmick, just the overhelp from the Phoenix guys. And Anthony Drimmick, who just missed a wide open one, wasn't going to miss again. And that's the difference. You had 3 stops in a row, which is what every team wants to get. You have different names for them. What can you do to get 3 stops in a row? But every single offensive possession was poor. No pass offense, just come down, first shot,
but
let it fly.
Let me ask you the question, can you do that 4 times in a row without it being a coach's instruction to do it?
Well, I think Mitch Creek, that shot from Mitch Creek's got to be smarter than that. He is their leader on this team. You've got to come down and make sure that you get a good look. It's all about slowly chipping away, as Gazy said, and it's not going to come in the first few minutes. It's going to take the next 3 quarters if you want to have any shot at getting back in this game. One shot's not going to do it.
All right, switch it. Got to switch up, and then he's rolling to the basket. We front, right? Make him work 3-quarter. If they're going to flash, we take away the flash.
All right, I'm going to force him base.
All right?
Okay, if he gets it and catches him, I'm forcing him base.
We're switching, but it's an aggressive switch. And the guard that's switching, you got to get under him. All right? You good?
Yeah.
What do you want to run here? Oh, let's go snap 4. Let's go snap 4 for the big fella. All right? Here we go.
There's Coach Duncan just talking about their defense. There has been a lot of switching going on, but their energy on the defensive end has been outstanding. And here we go. Here's a stat besides the 38-12 that stands out. Brisbane Bullets have 11 assists to 0 turnovers. The Phoenix, 0 assists and 5 turnovers. So just a completely contrasting style of play early in this one. Why wouldn't there be smiles on the Bullets bench?
Ready, guys, ready?
Still a ton of time left in it. And a lot of class out there for the Phoenix, including this guy, Mitch Creek, draws the foul and gets the lucky bounce.
Well, Simon Mitchell will be happy with that. You call a timeout, run through a set, and see Mitch Creek there with the pick and roll. I tell you what, James Duncan will be irate because he just spoke about it.
Exactly.
You get a switch, get underneath to stop that roll from happening. You get caught up on the high side of the screen. Mitch Creek, he's going to have a field day getting downhill there.
It's not easy to do when you're there and you're guarding and you're switching and you're guarding the ball cap. It's not easy sometimes to get under, but that is the challenge. But you also need a little bit of help on the weak side.
Dremic fouled this time on his way to the hole, and he can score and score quickly. He's putting in some quality minutes now. Not as potent from the free throw line. 66% normally, 33% this season only from the free throw line.
Dwayno, you can talk about strategy and we've spoken about, well, here's some few ideas about how you can try and change the look of what's going on. Sometimes it's about getting your butt on the ground, sliding your feet and just keeping someone in front of you. They are just getting into the paint way too easy. So, yeah, Simon, you can look at that and say, well, strategically, what are you doing? Well, how's about you guys get your butt on the ground and start playing some D?
Oh, my. Well,
Written and spoken by Andrew Gaze, the greatest of all time. Oh, and the putback nearly there.
Well, Derek Rucker said he was listening to James Duncan in one of the timeouts in the first quarter. He's basically saying, put the ball on the floor and attack. And I think Derek Rucker, we've got him now. That's exactly what we're seeing. Every single Bullets player just smelling blood and just putting the ball on the floor, saying no one on this Phoenix team is going to put their body on the line. I'll have a layup if I try hard enough.
Hook back, Tyrell again. Last couple just haven't gone for him. Let's go back down to the man who was scoring champion back in 1990. I think he's had a 51-point game in this league. Derek Rucker, what are your thoughts on the editorial from Andrew Gaze?
Yeah, well, this is 2 weeks in a row where Andrew's absolutely lost his mind. But funny that you talk about the defensive end. The only way you knew how to change games was by scoring points. So leave that analysis to somebody else. But I agree with you. Right now, the Bullets are getting anywhere they want to on the court as we finally get a big 3-ball right there for the Phoenix to reduce that lead down to 21. But Hools, I mean, you would love a game like this. You come off the bench. That was your role with Melbourne United. You come off the bench. Hey, the starters have done the job in loosening up the team. Now you just come in, and it's a free-for-all out there, Peter.
Well, you're right, and that's just the instruction that James Duncan's giving everyone. We saw Jason Kadee, who loves to live at the three-point line, come and just attack, put the ball on the floor, saying no one is going to bother standing in front of me. I'm going to get to the free throw line. I'm going to get some layups. And right now, as you said, it's got to just be a pride on the defense, man. Sit down and just try and keep your man out of the paint.
They'll made downstairs. in Brisbane, we see Franks get called for the offensive foul. Just a couple of drive-bys. He's just ripping my defence and just wanted to make sure that everyone knew that you were coming off the bench, Pete.
I think everybody knew that.
Unbelievable. Now, I thought we were playing team ball down here up to D-Ruck.
Great to have him back. 15 seasons in the NBL. Derek Rucker, the MVP back in 1990 with the Bullets, who lead 38-17, but Phoenix starting to get some confidence back. Coach said they'd be rusty early off a 28-day break. They certainly were. Liafa's been good. Tough floater was pushed on the way to the bucket. Will go to the line, and he's 80% from the free throw line, so not a bad place for him to be.
It's just a little with the forearm there by Nathan Sobey as he drove, and just the slightest of pushes, and he did it well, but not well enough to get away with it. He was out of position there and just tried to throw Liafa off his shot.
Well, that first three-ball knockdown for the Phoenix by Liafa, possessions before, that was off the first real breakdown on the defensive end on the Bullets in a half-court set, besides that one after the timeout where they didn't get under on the switch. So they had to capitalise, and they did.
Franks hands it up. Harrison tried to feed it back out, the steal, so they get a stop. Munford goes alone. Gee, they are rusty. Xavier Munford's been money from the time he walked into this comp at the start of the season. Sobey. Hand in the face. Good enough. Rebound pulled down by Ruben Tarangi.
Just a little quick one there by Franks, and he's hasn't seen a lot of it. Only 1 of 3.
Tarangi pokes it up. Gets a friendly bounce.
And that's the thing, when you get these big leagues and all of a sudden you start to go, well, we've got a lead, I can take a shortcut, a quick shot here, maybe don't penetrate quite as hard. And, you know, the natural momentum of the game with the big margin, the few of those 50-50 calls go against you, it can come back and go against the trend if you don't pay attention to the details.
That was a delay of game called on Phoenix, and what about that? That is brilliant to watch. They have got them left, right and centre when Franks is firing as well. They beat Perth in Perth, the Brisbane Bullets, if you're unaware. And if you can beat Perth in Perth, you can beat anybody anywhere. Sobey steps it in, hands it up, and the Tyrell Corporation keeps delivering.
That's right. And again, it's been what we're talking about. The penetration, little help, size advantage with the Phoenix going a little smaller. Throw it up there to Harrison. Easy basketball.
Back to a 23-point margin. They've had a little rocky season. They've already had one import go home, Devon Thomas. They've got another on the way, Brandon Ashley, not ready to play in this one yet. And here's their coach, Simon Mitchell. About to have a chat to them about the thoughts of ways to get back into this. 23 points the margin now. It was 25 at quarter time.
Hey, first things first, I mean, we can talk about let's go into switch mode and all that sort of things. We've got to contain the ball. We've got to contain the ball. And we're in 1-3-1. Okay, and we're up the floor a little bit. If you can get there and then drop back, that's okay. And let's buy him a little time. Buy him a little time to get back into the play on that one. So, squad we got right now, staying with what? Staying with our defensive package right now. Okay, I don't want to change it right just yet. We will a bit. We got snap, twist on this next one. Snap, twist in the middle. Yep.
A Kmart Fam Cam winner tonight of the $50 Kmart gift card. Mika Balmadre loves heading to the Bullets game when Mika can. The kids, we're told, lose their voice from yelling so much, and it's something the kids absolutely do love, heading to NBL games across the country and yelling and screaming. You feel part of the action, get to one as soon as you can. Toby Smith-Milner tries to get to the bucket. Can't. Adnam from the corner can.
No surprise there. Another 3 comes from an offensive rebound, a second chance points. They're going to need all of those.
And Simon Mitchell in that last time out, referring to what I was talking about, you can come in and say, well, we
Sounded like you actually, didn't it?
switched here or that, but just got a bit more intensity, a bit more effort on the defensive end.
Franks.
We're going a little bit of a 1-3-1 zone again.
Sobey. Wow. Nathan Sobey.
I mean, they're going to a 1-3-1 zone to try and show something different in the games he spoke about as well. And in the end, just 2 passes and Sobey steps into a semi-contested 3-ball. It's all well and good to show something different, but you've got to have the energy about you. We saw it when they were trying to have the extended pressure full court.
Again.
He's had a rough time with those short range runs, and I'll be wondering why we haven't seen Joe Chi. Joe Chi's only played the 4.5 minutes. Sobey just goes easy down the other end. He's got 2 fouls, but really he just got picked apart from the Bullets on the offensive end. They just put him in exactly where they needed to, and there's a rare breakdown and come up short again.
I agree with you.
Oh, he's not going to do it again, Nathan Sobey. That would have hurt. Patterson with the putback. Fouled on the way back.
I agree with you, Halls. Joe Chi, what do you say? Right now, he's only played, he's got the 2 fouls, but I think that it's times that you just, this game, you go, well, what are we going to be saving him for? If this gets out to 30 plus, the game's over anyway. So get him out there, get that rim protection, try and get him to when you've got a team that's just penetrating on you like they are, at least you've got that last line of defense with someone who can block a shot and take the risk, because this is getting away from them.
Well, I think a lot of the issue was the way that the Bullets brought Joe Chi away from the rim, and we'll talk about it at halftime, because we had a couple of plays when he was on there of how they really just kept him away from the hoop, where he does his most damage on the defensive end. So much so that Taylor's come back into the game, not Joe Chi, because you thought he might have a chance here, Gazy, but I think that's a lot of credit to the Bullets, and we've seen so far in the Phoenix before their break of how they protected him when he was on the perimeter. That was always going to be a question mark. What happens when teams bring him away from the hoop? They didn't do that in the first couple of minutes.
Tough off the glass, and we've mentioned Steve Taylor. Fouled on the way to putting it back, and Steve Taylor Jr. gets a chance from the free throw line.
Salt was good there. He got the block shot and came off the backboard. Good rim protection. And this is Taylor, and hasn't been with the team this first game, and would have had a few practice sessions at coming in and trying to find your way.
Got a sub coming, Mitch.
26 was the biggest margin of the game. He's pulled it back to 25 with 2 minutes left, and a big 2 minutes at that. Second one doesn't go. Salt, who Andrew Gaze talks about in glowing terms, pulls down that rebound. London-born New Zealander who went to college in the US, now playing for Brisbane. Jack Salt, if you put his story in a nutshell, getting some valuable minutes right now. Robert Franks, oh my goodness.
I mean, he's already hit one in the last couple of minutes, so he's feeling good about himself. So it might look like a tough contested shot, but when he's already had an easy one to get going. And look, we saw this with the Phoenix against the Kings last year, the end of last year, 28 days ago, where when they're not scoring, they're not hitting shots. They hit 5 threes in the last quarter, only hit 3 of them in the first 3 quarters, and they're designed to be a high 3-point shooting team and making team. So if you're not ticking the scoreboard over, it means your defense has to be that much better. And I think that's been a big question mark for the Phoenix for the last couple of years.
Yes.
For the last couple of seasons, they've led the league in scoring, but also allowed the most points. It's always hard to win a lot of games when you give up both of those things. So
it's finding that balance, and this season they've been good from the 3. They're first in 3-point field goal percentage at 38%. And relatively small sample size with them, though. And their last game against Sydney was poor from the field. And again here, 9 of 37, 24% in total, and 2 of 12. So they have, after we saw in their first 8 or 9 shots where half of them are coming from the 3-point line, they have tightened that up and decided to put the ball and try and get it into the paint, but still not finding good scoring opportunities.
Kadee, Adnam in his grill. Patterson was miscorrect. Kadee got past him with ease and put it in.
Well, it's night and day, the defensive end on one side from the Bullets, and then they're helping each other. Everybody's moving. Just had a couple of breakdowns this half. Just too many breakdowns for the Phoenix on the other end.
Left Tarangi free, and he made them pay.
Well,
Ruben Tarangi.
He might have had a bit of a happy feet there, Ruben Tarangi.
Okay.
Normally you've got to dribble before you take 3 steps.
James Duncan asking, is he going for a touchdown? Didn't really look like it.
Oh, not when you're 28 down, you get a little break that they desperately needed. Basketball gods smiling there. 54-29. Inside the last minute. Lamar's having some fun.
And they're picking them off. So they get to a situation where they see the switch. They put a switch with Kyle Adnam and they just throw it into Lamar Patterson. They've just really well organised and handling this situation really well, the Brisbane Bullets.
Bullets will get it back. Adnam lost it. In fact, they get it back now ahead of time.
Sportsmanlike.
That's gonna, yeah, absolutely. That's going to be an unsportsmanlike, just frustration from Kyle Adnam.
How do you think you get it? I know it's a reflex. Maybe it's a reflex.
Well, I think that one right there is a frustration.
Well, you've got to be
reflex.
better than that. And he's a superstar. I love him to death, Kyle. But this is just giving him 2 and possession. Loses it here, and then just... I mean, there's not any chance that that's not unsportsmanlike.
Absolutely, and frustrated that he fell over, I think. And Kyle Adnam trying to plead his case, but anytime you lead with the outside arm, it's going to look like some sort of hug to try and slow down the break. It's going to be called, and if there's some way you're trying to slow down the fast break, it's got to be with Kyle Adnam's in that position with his left shoulder where he can try and reach for the ball and come across Tom Digburn and then hit him with his body rather than getting that hug wraparound, because that is just letter of the law. If you look up an unsportsmanlike on the break, that exact play would be in the dictionary if we had such thing as a video dictionary.
Well, they do. When it comes to the officials, they got their examples of...
Well, they might update it.
That would be in the category for sure.
Well, they could double their score for the halftime break here, Brisbane. 57-29. Can they lead by 30? They got 17.8 seconds to do it. Ryan Brockhoff coming back onto the floor for the Phoenix, who are at breaking strain. Bullets with the last possession. Kadee sized it up. Sobey thought about the step back 3. Still a bit of time to play with. Using it wisely. Takes on Mitch Creek. Throws it back out. Still a chance for the rebound. 2 seconds left. Munford's got to have to put it up. And he passed it instead. 57-29.
What?
Ridiculous.
I think that on both fronts, whether it's the offense of Brisbane has been spectacular, shooting it at 53% from the field, 50% from the three-point line, but to hold any team in this competition to 25% and only 29 points in a half, particularly a team with the offensive potency of this Southeast Melbourne Phoenix team, this has been a spectacular performance by the Brisbane Bullets.
Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, the team a few were picking to win the championship this season, as we head downstairs to Derek Rucker.
Jason, great first half from you guys, especially you coming off the bench. Rim attacks, defensive pressure, is that what you guys worked on all week?
Yeah, we came out slow last week. They're kind of doing what we did last week, having to come out of the COVID period of a break. So we knew we had to come out with more energy. We just weren't good enough last week, and so far so good, but still 20 minutes to go.
Obviously, they're going to make changes in the second half. What do you think Coach James Duncan's message is going to be at the half?
Just more of the same. Less turnovers, which has been a problem for our group. Bit better job on the glass, and it puts us in a great position to win.
Great first half, Jay. See you in the second half.
Don't go anywhere. Andrew Gaze, Peter Hurley, and Derek Rucker to analyse it all. The Bullets, 57. Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, 29, with a half still to come. Hungry Jacks, NBL coming away from Nissan Arena in Brisbane. The Hungry Jacks halftime highlights, and you can expect quite a few of them to be Brisbane Bullets highlights. Tyrell Harrison, well, you can go through them, Gazy. They've got 7 or 8 guys right now that are playing the kind of basketball that's going to get a big number posted, and you would think a win posted if it continues.
Well, when you prepare for a game, you've got an expectation of what you're going to do on the offensive end and the defensive end. And this game here, everything has gone to plan for the Brisbane Bullets. Yes, they're knocking down shots, but it's balanced in with the way in which they're executing, getting into the paint. Down the other end of the floor, they came out and really set the tone. Hard, aggressive switching, putting pressure on the ball, pushing the Phoenix out of what they want to do. And as such, they're only shooting it at 25%. Mitch Creek, he's battled away for his 8 points, or after with 6 down the other end. Well, the scoring really of the individuals doesn't tell it. They've been able to spread it around, and this is the big story. Look at the shooting percentage, and a lot of that's got to do with the defence that the Phoenix have been dishing up. The other areas are not too bad. 16 assists is easy because they're making the shots. On the other side, very hard to get an assist when in 1 in 4 times you're only scoring. So it's a tough one for the Phoenix. They've got to go into the half-time and yeah, you can talk strategy, but it's got a bit more to do with what's going on inside and just that fierce aggression that they need to come out and play with.
Your blood started to boil at one stage.
Oh, no, it wasn't boiling, but it just sometimes gets a little bit frustrating. I know from Simon Mitchell's standpoint, you think, oh, strategically, what are you doing? Well, you can have all the greatest strategies in the world, but if you're not out there playing hard and really attacking it, at this level, you can get exposed, and that's what's happened.
Well, there is a good news story, and that is that there's still a half to rectify it. Peter Hurley is also with us. Pete, how do they rectify it, and what's been going right so far for the Bullets?
Well, we spoke about how bad the offence was for the Phoenix, but their defence was just as poor, and we asked why Joe Chi perhaps only played the 4.5 minutes, and this is exactly why. When he was out there to start the game, he's right here. Mitch Creek's trying to keep him out of the ball screen, but watch the intent from the Bullets and Nathan Sobey to try and get him involved in the ball screen. So there's a little cross-to-cross screen here. Mitch Creek switches with Joe Chi. Nathan Sobey recognises that, kicks it straight back to Lamar Patterson. Now, Joe Chi, the big fella's here. He's on Robert Franks. That's a mismatch out on the perimeter. Patterson realises that, gets that Franks into the ball screen. Joe Chi stuck out here. Isaiah Liafa can't do much because Nathan Sobey's a shooter. Robert Franks steps into an open 3-ball. Easy money. On the flip side, look at the defensive intensity from the Brisbane Bullets. Everybody's up and in, everybody's trying to move, but more importantly, watch how they help each other when the play gets broken off. Kyle Adnam looks like he's got a whole lane to the rim, but here we go. Deng Deng's going to come right across, get in his way, stop him from there, and then yell at Tom Digbers to say, get back. Late contest on the 3-ball. Smith Milner comes way off. And the last one here, Gazy.
Well,
you mentioned you wanted to see something different. We saw it. This is in a couple of minutes to go in the second quarter. They throw a full court press in, but this energy is just not going to cut it, is it?
It isn't. And what we're seeing here, they're trying to mix it up. A little trapper, and that's just really to try and throw them out of their set because they've been getting their action and been penetrating the basket. So they kick it around. Look at Smith Milner here. Now, this is what I'm talking about with players. Don't even try and tell me that throughout the course of the week they prepare to this game, each player will get a review and understand the scouting report on who you're guarding. Simon Mitchell would have been saying this guy's lights out from anywhere on the floor. He needs to be contested. You need to have a hard closeout. We run the play here. He's in a zone here. A little stunt on one of the great three-point shooters we've seen so far this season. That's not get it done, and that's just misunderstanding that the scout, and in the heat of the moment, not concentrating and understanding what your responsibilities are on the defensive end.
That's why we pay you guys the big bucks. It is still alive. It will be one of the biggest comebacks in NBL history, but South East Melbourne Phoenix came into the round second on the Hungry Jacks NBL ladder. Stick around. Second half coming. If you want to play like some of the best in the NBL, like Andrew Gaze, Peter Hurley, well, thanks to the good people at Bunnings Warehouse giving you the chance to win your very own court at home. You can enter now at win.nbl.com.au/Bunnings.
I was out there every day, so I think if I had a full court, you wouldn't get me inside.
Most of the games I played on the lower hoop, just to show my supreme athleticism.
I only worked on shooting, which is why that's really all I can do.
So when you're 8 years old or 10 years old, it's It's the best thing in the world. I had a basketball hoop and a little trampoline. I used to play back there for hours with my brother and get beat up a lot, but it was a lot of fun in the meantime.
And I hope that one day when I grow up, I'll be able to give my kids a court at home as well.
That's where I lost a lot of games to my brother at.
It started at this height, and every year I got older, it moved higher and higher until I got to 10 foot, and I'm doing the same with my kids back at home.
My dad built one, so I had a little bit of like a half court going on, and that made my life the best, so I could never complain as a kid.
And that was kind of like our sanctuary, our getaway from everything.
Here with Bullets coach James Duncan. James, outstanding first half from you.
Second half about to get underway. Derek Rucker with Bullets coach James Duncan.
Here with Bullets coach James Duncan. James, outstanding first half from your team. I know you must be delighted with the defensive effort.
Delighted, but for sure not satisfied. We have another 20 minutes and a long way to go.
Offensively, rim attacks were outstanding. Was that a part of the game plan coming into it?
We're playing the right type of basketball right now, so I'm, again, happy about the first 20 minutes.
How much does your European background influence your game?
Shouldn't be telling my secrets right now on live broadcasts, but it's a huge influence on me.
Yeah, it's a beautiful style. Hope it keeps going in the second half.
Appreciate it, man.
No problem, James.
Thank you.
Robert Franks from the corner in the meantime sees it rattle out.
Simon Mitchell's trying to change things up. He comes out in a 1-3-1 zone defense. And when you're not being aggressive, I just question starting in a zone. We're not to come out and try and make a statement on the defensive end. Hard to do that in a zone defense.
Liafa handed it to Joe Chi coming off that screen.
Well, you're right, Casey. It is a passive defense, but Simon Mitchell probably just thinking, what else can we go to right now? Because no one's stopping anybody one-on-one. We've thrown different things out there. A lot of it might be to hide Joe Chi as well, but they've had so much success early in the season.
He hasn't got 4 fouls. He's only got 2.
Right. And
when you say hide him, you don't need to hide him.
Well, I mentioned the way that the Bullets just attack to put him in those on-ball screens and the awareness to keep getting him in multiple ball screens, hoping that something breaks down.
Mitch Creek, little breakdown from him there. Second highest scorer in the competition this season, Mitch Creek, and he's had 8 at half time as Patterson puts it up. And Lamar Patterson's enjoying his afternoon at the office. Xavier Mumford hands it up. Mitch Creek hands it up. Ruben Tarangi with the responsibility. Phoenix need a hero in a hurry right now. Back out. Tarangi rims out. 2 Bullets fighting for the rebound. That's how much they wanted it. Franks to Patterson to Sobey. They can smell more blood. 30 points. Biggest margin of the game. Patterson, corner 3. Tyrell Harrison rebound. Slipped. Sobey snuck his way in. Back out of the corner. Rims out. Rebound available. Liafa pulls it down. Mumford. A hook under the bucket. Harrison and Joe Chi.
Pauls, what's the story with Brian Brockhoff? Because he's only had the 2 field goal attempts, played 8 minutes. He's 1 of 2. And when you look at the plus minuses, which sometimes can be a misleading, he's a -12, but believe it or not, that's not too bad. But I just don't... He's a big ticket item. He's an Olympian. He's played in the NBA, played in the biggest teams in Europe and had success.
Ready? Here we go.
Just hasn't been able to get it going, but right now it doesn't seem like he's getting the opportunity. Is there something wrong? Or?
Well, it's a good knockdown there from Mumford. And I'm not sure whether he was the one who's had COVID or he's coming back, because that's maybe why he's coming off the bench. I'm not sure what happened there, but I think a lot of it is they're just so talented throughout the whole roster. They're just so deep when they've got so many different guys who can contribute. As Nathan Sobey gives a fan a nice little take-home gift there. But we talk about their depth.
Nice from Mitch Creek, by the way, a little offer to help. But
and adding Brandon Ashley to that, their depth gets even stronger when that comes. And he's Nathan Sobey going straight into her.
Ooh. Yeah.
She's all right. Bullets get around that, I'm sure. But they've just got so many different contributors that can potentially step up on any given night. You talk about role clarity in teams, especially those talented teams. Besides Mitch Creek, Joe Chi and Mumford, everyone else kind of blends in. And they're, if not the deepest team in the league, they're close to it. But who are you going to have when everybody's gone cold on the same night?
Sobey from the car park. So just in short, you're telling me South East Melbourne Phoenix have got too much talent.
Well, it wouldn't seem like when you see this score, but what it is, he's trying to play everyone as Creek comes in, knocks down the 3 ball. But it's a valid point that Hooley's making. And if you look at the top teams now, whether it's Illawarra or Perth, you've got their main 3 guys well into the 30 minutes a game type averages. Here, Phoenix are trying to, well, have been spreading it out. There's Mumford, and even him coming in and out. And Creek just walks into a 3. You can't let him do that this season, shooting over 50%.
Derek Rucker downstairs.
And guys, I think the second half is going to be a chance for the Bullets to further establish their identity. One of the things that I think successful teams are always able to do is play to their strengths. And right now, we've seen a perfect blueprint for how the Bullets can be successful for the duration of the season. Now, for the Phoenix, they've got to find theirs. They've got to get back to something. This second half isn't necessarily about the scoreboard. It's more about how they play.
No, 100% spot on. And that's where you've got to try. And it's hard as players to not look at the scoreboard, but play every possession and continue to figure out how in which you're going to establish those roles. And Derek, when you look at this team and the way, maybe tonight's a bit of an exception because Simon Mitchell's had to just try and find something when you're going this bad, but he's going to have to make some decisions, and some players are not going to get the same opportunities that they probably would get in other teams.
Well, that's one of the things about having so much talent, isn't it, Andrew? That really comes down to the coach and how he's able to manipulate those guys, not only, you know, over the course of the season, but game to game also. As Sobey finishes nicely with the right hand, the Bullets continue. They're up 26. And Drew, I mean, I'm really have been befuddled also by some of the substitutions. I'm not sure what is going on with Ryan Brokoff. He's just kind of sitting there on the bench and just chilling and observing.
Well, I've got the answer for that. He just cleared protocols yesterday, Ryan Brokoff. So that's why he's going to be slowly trying to ease him back into things after dealing with COVID. So he's one that you're right. You wonder why he wasn't out there to start. That answers that question, because he just changes the way. I know he hasn't set the world on fire this season, but having him out there, you can't overhelp off him. He's been exceptional in the way he's attacked the glass. He's had some double-digit rebounding games. And this is what we talk about, a team that's designed to shoot a lot of threes and make a lot of threes. Granted, they've knocked a couple down in this third quarter, but you look at their whole roster. Cam Glidden, he's a knockdown shooter, has been his whole career. Kyle Ladner, Munford, Tarangi's been shooting the ball well. Liafa's shown he can stroke it. Then you got Brokoff and Mitch Creek. Everybody can shoot the ball, and when everybody's gone cold on one night, you've got to try and find who's going to be that spark. It kind of throws the rest of the roles out of whack, and it's tough to try and figure out what works, and that's something that Simon Mitchell has to work with going forward, because the talent's there. We've seen it early in the season, and we expect it. It's just going to be a bit of a juggling act.
A lot of season left to play as well in the Hungry Jacks NBL, and quite a few games coming away over the next month. By the way, tomorrow, big doubleheader coming away tomorrow, Illawarra and Melbourne United. That's going to be huge. Sydney Kings and New Zealand as well. So a doubleheader Sunday afternoon. Put that into your diaries. And this one just getting a little bit of spice added to it. 64-38. It's been a three-point shooting fest in the last couple of minutes. Mitch Creek steps it in for the alley-oop for Joe Chi, and maybe some momentum back the Phoenix way.
No one in the history of the NBL has come back from a 28-point halftime deficit. So, again, Phoenix are going to have to create history this afternoon.
Like a lot of those stats, it's never been done until it gets done. And Chuan Ching Lu doing it right there on cue for the Bullets. So they're both out there, the Chinese superstars, head-to-head right now in what might be the most watched game in NBL history going around the world. And cheer out all those watching through China. Chuan Ching Lu and Joe Chi out there for their respective teams head-to-head.
Well, they look better in this 4 minutes, the Phoenix, and that's with the intent to be out there in the energy they played. And as you said, Gazy, this game being an exception because of not just the length of break they've had, but when a team's hit by COVID, you have different guys in protocols in terms of who's dealing with health-wise. Some people obviously have dealt with it different to others, and then you have different ways to who can train at certain points. So there's just so many other things that have gone into just getting back on the floor. So big tick to be getting back, and we've seen it's the painful nature of what's coming, and it's just unfortunately the way that a lot of teams having to get through it. They have looked better in this first few minutes.
Xavier Mumford had 4 points to half-time. He's now got 8 in the first 4 minutes of the third quarter alone. So he's one that's starting the fight back. Xavier Mumford. In the meantime, Kadee. Chuan Ching Lu. Awesome.
Tough. Pick and roll, and it wasn't all the way to the rim. Just a little push shot in the middle of the paint. And showing some good touch. Big Lou.
Mitch Creek, up fake, travel. That'll hurt. He should be competent from outside the arc as well, given how well he's been going as a three-point shooter this season.
It's a little floater.
It is.
Well, it's a big floater.
That is a big floater, and very hard to contest when you're coming in with that size, and good touch.
Kadee found a hole where there wasn't one, and the foul to go with it for Chuan Ching Lu, and the crowd rise for him.
Well, they love it, and so they should. And this is what I spoke about in the first half, his energy, his intent. Look how quickly he gets down there. No body on him, and he's loving it.
Well, this is career high type stuff now for Big Lou. He's had some good minutes. He's got the 6 points, 3 or 4 from the field.
Hasn't had a free throw this season.
One here.
At the line for the first time. Joe Chi having a rest. Pick 43 back in the 2016 NBA draft. Joe Chi, 22 NBA games for Houston. He's got a big role to play in the last quarter and a half of this. Mitch Creek likewise. Turn baseline. Had a friend. Pino couldn't put it in. Mitch Creek poked away. Brokoff off balance. Drops it. With 3 left on the shot clock. Sobey. Franks. Goes alone. Brokoff. This will change the momentum. Can't put it in. Pino can't pull it out. Franks doing some good work under the bucket. Sobey. Xavier Mumford gets the ball out of his hand, but Franks has got it. Gives to Gadi. Back to Sobey. Likes his chances. Steps in, draws the foul. And will go to the line for a couple, and he's 85% from the line, so like his chances of putting 2 in from here.
It's really, you just see with that set there, they get to their action, they find the destination without a lot of interruption. Players are there, they're in the general area and fundamentally trying to get there, but if you don't have that intensity and the ease at which Sobey, straight line drive, so he catches it, he doesn't have to go laterally, can go straight line to the basket. That makes it hard and finds his way to the free throw line.
And you expect that intensity if we do see those little spurts from the Phoenix not to be there because of what we've mentioned for so much of how many days they've missed and just coming back from every situation they've been dealing with. But you've got to show it from the start, and we expected to see a bit more of that ice hockey substitutions to try and keep guys as fresh as possible. But we just haven't seen it sustained as much as I'm sure Simon Mitchell would have liked on the defensive end. And if you're up 72 points with still 4 minutes to go in the third quarter, you're going to be struggling to win any game.
Sobey getting himself a well-earned rest. Kyle Adnam doing some hard work under the bucket. Gets 2 back. Gadi. Patterson. Crowd loving every minute of this here at Nissan Arena in Brisbane. Patterson likes his chances against Pino by the looks of things. Steps it in, hooks it off the glass. Rebound under the bucket. Not quite this time for Chuan Qinglu. He's working hard. Oh, pocket pick by Patterson. Rolls its way out. Brokoff for 3. Nothing going for the Phoenix. Gadi, Patterson. Was there for the putback as well.
3 gimmies they've missed, the Brisbane Bullets.
Up fake from Liafa, and then, wow. Hard to believe the scoreline. Dang getting some good court time. Back out to Patterson. Steps it in, takes it out, steps it in, gets a screen, feeds it back. Krebs. Crowd is absolutely loving.
That's an incredible pass over to Tanner Krebs, and just knew he was there the entire time. Lamar Patterson, that's what he does, just makes good decisions. Got 9 assists to 0 turnovers. Look at that.
Well, it's textbook because you saw Creek, he had to go in and tag, go in and provide some help with Big Lou down low, and Lamar Patterson, knowing the rules, knowing where the penalty was, knew where his man was, and Krebs knocks down the 3 ball, wide open.
Talk about some of the big superstars in the competition, and it's easy to forget how good Nathan Sobey is. 3rd in NBL voting for the MVP award last season, scored more than Bryce Cotton last season from a few extra games, but still scored more from one of the all-time greats. And he's been doing it again in this one this afternoon.
Well, he has, and as I said, he hasn't necessarily playing poorly, but he hasn't been shooting it as well as he would like. Only 35% from the field, 23% from the three-point line, but still there and has the confidence in big moments to step up. Tonight, this afternoon, I should say, with the 14 points and pretty efficient. 4 of 9 from the field, 4 of 4 from the three-point line, and getting to the paint, causing havoc. And he can do that against the very best defenses, and this afternoon against a defence which really needs a bit of work.
You're looking for an adjective there, weren't you?
I just wanted to pull back because I think you always got to put things into context, and dealing with COVID, not playing for 28 days. I know people saying, well, you've got to do better than this. And yep, that may be right, but it is a valid excuse when you're dealing with some time off and COVID, which can knock you about.
Pino hands it back. Ryan Brockhoff gets a valuable 2, and they haven't given this one in. Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, quarter and 2 minutes left.
Well, they're just trying to build something into it in the last 12 minutes and just trying to get back into, obviously, both game shape, but just that rhythm that they were starting the season with. It's all going to come with game reps. It's all well and good to be on the practice floor and going against each other, but
Jack Salt puts it in to rub a little bit of salt in. Patterson pleads his case as we head down to Derek Rucker.
And it's so interesting how 7 days of just having a run and being able to shoot the ball and see the ball go through the hoop has really helped the Bullets. And I've got no doubt that the same thing is going to happen for the Phoenix the next time they hit the court. And Coach Simon Mitchell in that last time out, he just talked about execution, just getting back to the basics, moving the ball and trying to get good shots every time down the court. They'll get some burn through their legs in the next 11 minutes, and they'll be fine in the next game.
And we heard Simon Mitchell in one of the early timeouts, as you said, Gazy, when you just said, you've got to sit down and guard. You play, and there's certain things you can control. You've got to expect that Russ is going to be there on the offensive end, the chemistry even on the defensive end, but he knows Simon Mitchell saying, we can control that. You can give me 2 minutes of your absolute best effort on the defensive end, and if you need a sub, I can get someone else in, and that's what he was really pleading for in the first half. And once it blew out, after what you are trying to come back from, it's always going to be a mighty task.
Well, they're going to have to continue with making some adjustments and establishing their roles when you bring in Brandon Ashley, who is a quality player, and it's going to be a add to their talent. But it does create problems for Simon Mitchell to try and keep everyone happy, give everyone their minutes, and refine some of the roles. It's an adjustment period that's going to be ongoing.
Well, it's something we've seen in teams over the past. I mean, we look at Melbourne United last year, winning the championship. Scotty Hobson accepting his role to come off the bench in a different light, and we've seen it in so many different teams and deep teams. And another one, Perth Wildcats are going to have that when they're at full strength. You've got a real talented. You obviously got Bryce Cotton, Vic Law, but then you got Blanchfield. Luke Travers is going to be in there. Michael Frazier. So there's just so much that when you're a really talented team, there's going to be sacrifices that have to be made.
Jack Salt back out to Kadee. Little push under the bucket.
And still 2 hands in the back.
77-50, 2 hands in the back, as you heard.
Having said that, guys, you mentioned Brandon Ashley. We spoke a little bit about it, but it's a phenomenal signing. This man was
a great pickup.
Unbelievable for the New Zealand Breakers. He's going to come in and be a completely different style they're going to play, I would think, overall when he's on the floor compared to Joe Chi. You just think about the kind of matchups that they're going to be able to throw out there. There's an offensive foul there.
Well, I think they can also play him alongside Joe Chi. It's not one where it has to be one for the other with him. It certainly, if I'm Dane Pinot, I'm a little nervous about, well, what does this mean for me in the rotation? So there'd be some guys still in this lineup that would be a little on edge.
Mitch Creek foul. Simon Mitchell, by the way, asked to tone it down. So he hasn't given this one in just yet either, which is exactly what you want to see.
Well, he's just trying to rev the guys up, and he wants to see that energy and intent. As we keep saying, the Russ is going to be there. We expect that. So he's just trying to get his team to buy in, because it is going to be, these last 11 minutes are crucial for how quickly they can get back to full strength, to their full potency when they're out there. That's going to come with being on the floor playing games. And they're going to have a lot of games. NBL dropped the schedule for what's coming up, so a lot of games coming, and how quickly they can do that, it's going to be crucial for them. And then adding that new piece of Brandon Ashley will take some getting used to as well.
300 Jacks, 2 missed free throws from Mitch Creek, of all people. So everybody In Queensland, hustle is the code. Mitch Creek handing out the Hungry Jacks burgers for you this time. The guy who's 72% from the free throw line, so it gets even worse. Jaxel, 208 centimetres, 117 kilo. Talk about guys fighting for their spot. He's given some good value in the minutes he's played. He gets it here, turns, shoots. Can't put it in on cue for us. Mitch Creek, he knows he owes them. Spins in, gets it off the glass, Salt the rebound. Kadee. Dremic. Oh, this is brilliant to watch. If you're a Brisbane Bullets fan, this is nirvana.
Well, it is, and just the ease at which they're getting to the cup. Again, a relatively easy basket, but the defensive transition not good enough by the Phoenix. We take a look at Dremic here. There it is. Now, Dane Pinot, he's had to close out on that D-trans and just straight down the middle. And Dremic with an easy two. And you know, this is an anomaly. This is not going to happen too many times in the NBL, such as the parity amongst our teams. But you're looking at this, Hools, and you know, I like to be. I'm just trying to figure it out. When you think of Mumford, I mentioned him earlier on in the game. The plus minuses, there's some big numbers there when you've got a blowout. But for him, he's got the 12 points, he's got the 4 rebounds, a couple of assists. He's only played the 15 minutes. And if his plus minuses, when he's been on the floor, they're only -3.
Well, you're right. I mean, he's one of their main guys. You talk about guys who might have to sacrifice the roles. It's not going to be the Mumford, Mitch Creek type players. You see him there with the massage gun, so maybe he's got just something he's working on, or he was one who's potentially been having to have a battle with COVID. I'm not sure about that, but yeah, you'd expect to be, especially the engine room with the point guard position. That's something that Simon Mitchell has. Kyle Adnam to throw out there a different look to what Xavier Mumford brings, but Kyle Adnam, I think, thrives in his role off the bench as a 6th Man of the Year contender. That's where he has really been at his best, but showed last year that he can step into a starting role and dominate that as well.
Seeing unbelievable things left, right and centre. Mitch Creek missing 3 free throws in a row. Robert Franks, air ball. Still a Bullets ball. Didn't hit the rim though, so it's now a Phoenix ball with 3.4 seconds left.
Just quietly, Robert Franks gone about his business once again. 12 points, 10 rebounds. Another double-double for a man who, as you said, if you're going to lose Vic Law, the talent of Vic Law, you got to bring in a man of Robert Franks' caliber. It's just such a good signing. And they're a dangerous team, the Bullets, when they can play consistent basketball. When you're led by Nathan Sobey, Franks, and Patterson, that's a really, really strong trio.
Just checking the clock here, but when you think of trying to replace a player like Vic Law, I don't know if they could have got a more perfect, not replica, but that can bring those same skill sets that he brought in what they've got with Franks. He can shoot the 3. He's a rebounding fool. He's a good, looks like he plays within a system. High basketball IQ. He brings so much to the table. And
he also plays the 5 when they go small ball as well, which we didn't see a whole lot. Obviously, Vic Law got injured last year, but they can use him in such a variety of different ways. Kyle Adnam does what he does best.
Coast to coast from Wild. Kyle scores on the buzzer, gives them some life heading into 3/4 time. Bullets, though, out to make history in this last quarter. 79 plays 51. Bullets out to make a little bit more history in this last quarter. Their quarter-time lead was the biggest in Brisbane Bullets history. They kept South East Melbourne Phoenix to their lowest quarter-time score in South East Melbourne Phoenix history. That was 6, by the way, at quarter-time. 79-53. Bullets hoping to play their way up the ladder with a win against the team above them on the Hungry Jacks NBL ladder in front of a good crowd here at Nissan Arena in Brisbane. We're having some fun watching this unfold. And they're not done yet. They're not going home in a hurry. They're going to savour this as Mitch Creek floats it in for an early 2.
Oh, Tony, you mentioned it, 6 points at quarter time. They scored 47 in the next 2. So you put 2 quarters together like that where you almost score 50 points. That's a pretty good result. And they tick it over here again and just keep building towards getting back to what we've seen from the Phoenix. As Anthony Drimic has just made an absolute intent of putting the ball on the floor and just attacking whoever is in front of him.
And gets the roll.
Continuation okay. Anthony Drimic. Nicely. See the disappointment on the face.
That was close. That was closer than I thought, though, Dwayne. Whether he was when he fouled him in the act of the dribbling or not, I think it was. But it was that one was a little closer, certainly, than the ones we saw earlier. But I'd want that call if you're the offense. That's for sure.
And their confidence will grow out of this, Brisbane. They're coming off a loss, and a horrible loss coming into this game as well. Kyle Adnan, who went coast to coast just before three-quarter time, travels his way to the crowd's delight here.
And Dwayne, I'm giving a lot of credit here to James Duncan and the coach, because very few people, experts included, gave Brisbane any chance this season. Some people had them finishing last, given what they'd lost and some of the players, and I think, Peter, you might have been in that category.
Absolutely not.
But what they've done, they play a very attractive brand of basketball. They exploit their assets well. They've got a star in Franks, and I think they're really, really well coached, both ends of the floor.
How do you like the look of them, Derek?
And Andrew, I agree with them, and I was not one of those skeptics, unlike yourself. I felt the Bullets were very strong, and I said from the jump, I tweeted out, I think game 1, I said 1 to 4, from positions 1 to 4, they are as deep and as talented and as versatile as any team in the competition. And granted, they're playing against a subdued team today, but I think we see signs, and we saw some of those signs in the second half last week against New Zealand.
Well, you and I must have been on a little bit of an island from all the reports that I was reading about some of the assessments. So,
well, it's just about for the Bulls, isn't it? It's just the consistency to do this every single time you step onto the floor. And Rucker's right with the talent they have, and what you need, and you talk about the core around that, they're bringing back the core of those veteran Aussies who are going to come in, and James Duncan just knows is going to get the job done. Jason Gidey's going to play his role. You've got Anthony Drimic, Tanner Krebs has stepped up. You've got all these different pieces, and then you have the ability, if a team wants to go small, you put your superstar Robert Franks at the 5, Lamar Patterson at the 4, and then you load up your guard spots with a Gidey, Drimic, and Sobey, and all of a sudden, you look really dangerous.
Hand up to Franks, who banks it in. And another steal and another bucket.
And Dwayne, on the point in regards to the COVID situation, it might sound like we're trying to make an excuse for the South East Melbourne Phoenix, albeit that it's a legitimate one as we have a look at another.
2-on-1, 3-on-1.
But the point I'd like to make is that, and I know there are privacy rules and there might be a whole bunch of things, but I think if I'm Ryan Brockhoff, I want everyone to know I haven't trained for 10 days. I haven't had a workout. I haven't shot a ball. I'm coming into this game. Now,
so he started on the bench, but we didn't have...
But no one was told.
Right. Yeah.
And maybe it's because, well, we don't want to give any information to our opposition. But I think these are different circumstances. And if you've got an issue like we've been advised now during the call, that there are these specific individuals that have been facing some challenges, I think in these circumstances there's no harm in telling people, certainly before tip-off anyway. Because if it's done just before tip-off, well, how much advantage is the opposition going to know? And it gives greater clarity about what those specific challenges are going to be.
Bunford put his foot on the line, so he was out of court. This is the biggest margin of the game. So there's been multiple players, you're saying, from the Phoenix that have had a COVID layoff.
Well, Peter's been getting some SMS messages about some of these players that this is all new.
I mean, we did have the report that they have been horribly dealt with COVID over the past few weeks, and there's a lot of teams around the league who have been absolutely destroyed by COVID. As Brokoff gets the steal here, gets the and one opportunity. Good take there from Brokoff. And the problem is we're dealing with COVID times, which unfortunately so many players have got it, and we're worried about what's going to happen. Their health and safety comes first. And everybody by now in Australia would know somebody who's dealt with it. And I personally know some people have been really rocked by it to the point of unable to leave their bed for a few days. A lot of players in the NBL.
And unwell after they've done their
and then there's on the flip side, I know plenty who have had it and said they wouldn't even know that they've had it. So it's just been a complete lottery, and it's unfortunate for those who have had, but it's good to see them back out on the floor. That's the main thing, to be able to be feeling healthy enough to get out there and put on the jersey.
So, Joe Chi and Jack Salt have a few words. Ryan Brokoff is going to have a rest. We don't know how long it's going to knock any individual around when they get COVID. But one thing for certain, is Xavier Mumford puts it up for the 3 attempt. Certainly knocked it around as far as the scoreline of this game. Again, the South East Melbourne Phoenix were the pick for many to win, even though it's away from home at Nissan Arena in Brisbane. But this might say more about Brisbane and the rest of the season than it does about South East Melbourne Phoenix and the rest of the season. As Franks, the step back all net. Franks for coming.
This guy is a star. He's found a system that's really geared to him.
A bit of extracurricular, bit of mayonnaise going on here. So it looked like Anthony Drimmick Zaylee Arthur. This is the Robert Franks. That is as tough as it comes. And you can see
it's Dirk Nowitzki type action.
Just a little bit of extracurricular activity from Drew McKinley-Arthur. Just having a few exchange of pleasantries, as you would like to say. Guys, you just say how you feel, mate.
Can't believe Drimmick's involved with a little bit of a scuffle. It doesn't happen, does it?
Like just catching up with each other, making sure everybody's feeling all right.
Nothing in it.
These two teams have met 8 times, 4 wins each. Both teams coming off a loss last game. Brisbane to New Zealand, that horrible loss. Boy, they bounced back from that. And for South East Melbourne Phoenix, barring the greatest comeback in the history of basketball worldwide, it'll be a couple of losses in a row. Creek sees it rim out. Get it back. Mumford hasn't been his evening at the office either for Xavier Mumford. And he has been a superstar this season. The X factor.
Well, we talk about Robert Franks and replacing Vic Law. Xavier Mumford, 12 points tonight, go to the line for a couple more. But when you've got to replace Kiefer Sykes, who, by the way, is doing incredible things, his story alone, be at the Indiana Pacers right now, it's just so good to see Kiefer Sykes use the NBL as that step ladder to get to the NBA, and not only get there, but to stay there right now and deliver.
Put Xavier Mumford, big numbers.
But you bring in a guy like Xavier Mumford, and I think that's something that is the best part about his signing. He's a combo guard, so for Simon Mitchell can say, well, right now Kyle Adams is having success off the bench. When he comes in, I'm just going to slide Mumford to the 2. Then you maybe shuffle everybody else down. You could play small, potentially, if Robert Franks was at the 5 with Mitch Creek at the 5. A lot of things to work with, but really, really good signing from Phoenix. But yeah, Kiefer Sykes, and what a better way to step into the NBA and put up some big numbers when you're at Madison Square Garden in that game.
Lamar Patterson finding some form. Quite a few of the Bullets who were down against New Zealand last game finding some brilliant form. Confidence booster, ladder position booster. 90 points now for Brisbane. Creek, who's found it tough. And he's normally an absolute superstar. Back out. Tough 3, but dropped by Liafa.
Liafa, 2 of 8 from 3. Right now, that's the 7th 3. 7 of 25 for the Phoenix, who, during the games, they'll be looking to hit double-digit 3s in nearly every game they play. That's, as we highlighted, every player that is a shooter, and what they try to look for is, there's Lamar Patterson, who's good rack up, very well rack up his 10th assist here.
Well, Phoenix have been shooting it well, 38% from the 3-point line. First, in fact, in the competition from the 3-point line. And after a terrible start, they've been able to work those numbers up to 28%.
go a timeout. Timeout.
And Mitch Creek coming into this game with the best three-point shooting percentage in the NBL, 57%. Hasn't been his afternoon. 90 plays 62, 6 minutes left. So it hasn't been their evening. We talked about it a bit, South East Melbourne Phoenix, but obviously they've got a lot of season left to go, and they can still work on something to take into their next game out of this. Coach's Challenge, by the way, so we'll wait and see how this unfolds. It's been fun, the Coach's Challenge this season.
It is. I think is provided it's done very quick. They're challenging the foul on Tarangi. And I think it's one that sometimes when it gets into the last quarter and you haven't used it,
spend it.
May as well spend it. Have a look. Yep. And we can take a look at this challenge here. And oh, there's a foul called on Tarangi, was it? Well, if the foul's called on Tarangi, it didn't look like he fouled him.
Okay, so you're putting your eggs in the successful basket.
Well, we've got a Coach's Challenge here, and the foul is called on Ruben Tarangi, and I think this will be a successful challenge. You look at Tarangi here, gets a lot of the ball. If anything, I'm not sure, Yo Chi, if the foul was called on Joe Chi, then I think that's a foul. You look at the left arm on his shoulder, stopping him from jumping, but the actual foul, I believe, was called on Tarangi. And Simon Mitchell said, I want to challenge it.
That's exactly why. Once he saw it was on Tarangi, he's challenged that. Now, with the Coach's Challenge, even if Joe Chi there has absolutely cleaned up Robert Franks, the challenge will be successful because they're challenging the foul on Ruben Tarangi.
Correct.
They're not going to change it and say, okay, well, there's definitely a foul on Joe Chi. You're challenging what the call was on the floor. And that's something that, when the Coach's Challenge was introduced in the NBL Cup, was put to the coaches, I believe, of would you like it to be the correct decision? Would you like it to change hands if it is a foul on somebody else or anything? And they...
Ooh, did he get a bit of the arm? Now, it'd be very
wrist on the way through.
But maybe he got a little bit of the elbow on the follow-through. To me, it's a little hard to tell. But the foul should have been on Joe Chi. And they've cancelled it, so the challenge has been successful.
Here we go.
Coach's Challenge is successful. The call is overturned. We have a jump ball. They keep their timeout and their challenge.
And just as we suspected, that's exactly what they were challenging. Simon Mitchell, really good awareness once he realised that foul wasn't on Joe Chi. Because if that foul is on Joe Chi, it's probably not going to be overturned because there was some contact, him trying to get across on the elbow. And because the play was... No one had full possession afterwards with that. It's going to be a jump ball. Anyone can jump. And who else do we want jumping, Dwayne?
So the two Chinese superstars, Juan Qinglu and Joe Chi, for the jump ball. That was worth it just for that. And there it is. The crowd rise for Juan Qinglu with the rejection.
Stuck with the play, didn't he? Came on and was able to control his body enough to get the block. Take a look, good block there, and then just Franks didn't see what was behind him and turns the ball over.
Big Lou's just going to go with an exit row or just business class?
He can't roll in exit row is not going to get it done.
I don't think it is.
You're giving up your seat for him, especially after the performance in this one. Not that they're having to get a plane home from this.
I just had a gaze of bewildered look on his face when I mentioned flying economy. He's like, what is that?
No one gets.
He doesn't understand what that is. It's the other 90% of the plane.
Never been there.
I know. I'm well aware.
No, I've never been in that up the front section. Like,
Casey, no one gets your 1A. Mitch Creek.
I've been on a plane for a couple of years.
Xavier Buffett pulls up for three to get himself a little consolation prize. And this time, Juan Qinglu beats Joe Chi again for the rebound. 5 minutes left in what's been a clinic from the Brisbane Bullets. Sobey, Patterson.
Help you, Joe.
Patterson reaches into his bag of tricks and drops a beauty.
Really tough and had the size on Tarangi. And he's tough down low. I think you need to at least have someone digging in. Can't just leave him on an island.
Joe Chi. Liafa backs it back out. Munford gives it back to him. He's going to have to put it up. 2 on the shot clock. Creek's going to have to put it up. Oh, my goodness. On the buzzer. Got it there. And it was beautiful to watch in the end. 92-68. Sobey steps inside, steps it out. Franks. Joe Chi wins this one.
Well, Franks, he's hit 4 threes tonight. Trying to hit his 5th there, nice wide open. It's Isaiah Liafa. Back-to-back threes for him. James Duncan wants a timeout just because they're probably not going to win this game, the Phoenix. It's been a tough fight back, but you want to make sure that you finish off the game the right way. They've been outstanding from the jump. The way they executed the first couple of minutes, they wanted their defensive intensity was incredible for the first 4 minutes of the game, and offensively they did exactly what they want. The game plan, they got anything they wanted. They put their head down. So you want to end this game the right way so that you can just build momentum going forward to a lot of games coming up. You want to slack off at all.
Shooting's been good so far in this one from the Brisbane Bullets. They're out to 92 points. If you think you can shoot pretty well yourself, a full court shot at an NBL game, head to the NBL website win page to enter for your chance to shoot for $100,000 in the Latrobe Financial Sharp Shot. And if you do miss your first shot, you do get a second chance from half court for $50,000 thanks to Latrobe Financial.
Well, that's worth jumping on the website and entering, because it gives you some time to work in your full court shots. Probably have to bowl it in. Can't imagine that the regulation jump shot's going to get there, but you're going to have to do a little overarm action, try and hook it in. But then when you get, if that comes up short, when you get to the centre line, that's where it's just about timing and your momentum and a nice pure stroke.
What are you giving yourself to knock one? I know you only get one, but how many on average before you knock one?
From the centre line?
I remember when you were coaching in our trip in China.
Oh, I'm 30%. I'm 3
you
out
and
of
Copes
10.
with the would always have those back and forth battles, and I actually, for the time being, I think it was 2.5 weeks you spent, but I don't think you won one. I think Copes really truly had your number.
Really? Don't deflate the myth. Don't deflate the reality with a little bit of myth. There has to be some fact behind it. Is it true? Is that fact?
No, of course it's not.
Okay, so it is still myth. Creek sees it rim out, put back from Mumford. Doesn't quite. Can we get you on video? So how many would you need from halfway now to drop one? How many chances would we need to give you?
Oh, no. Give 3 or 4. Okay. I'm 30%, surely.
Yep.
I did it on the bounce last season. There's a nice underneath out of bounds play. Cut to the basket as simply as you like. The intensity of the Brisbane Bullets has gone completely out of this game.
Well, it's going to be shown we talk about getting any positives out of this for the Phoenix. One thing that Simon Mitchell can be impressive is the intent on the offensive glass. 15 offensive rebounds. They've turned it on since the first quarter.
Brockhoff. 3 would have made the score look a lot more attractive than it was going to look at one stage.
True, but that's fool's gold, because this has been a complete annihilation. But the thing is, for the Brisbane Bullets, this is about habits, about in those moments being disciplined, sticking with what you've got. I'm sure that's what James Duncan would have been referring to in that last time out. And they haven't demonstrated. They've come out a couple of sloppy plays.
Still got their stars on the court as well, Brisbane Bullets.
The hardest thing to do is to maintain that same level of focus when the game is over. It is over, and you've got guys saying, well, here's a chance I might be able to pad my numbers. Might be able to do things that I normally wouldn't do. Like that. And you start to make some errors.
Well, yeah, I mean, every team, it's been a pretty lengthy break at some point for a lot of teams, so it is. And we talk about the game reps. These minutes are all crucial just in terms of getting back into the rhythm and the routine of the season. And we've already seen the way that we mentioned at halftime with how they were the Bullets as Brockhoff knocks one down from the corner and puts his hands in the air to say thank you, but how the Bullets tried to bring Joe Chi away and try and put him in ball screens. We've already seen it now in these last couple of minutes, the way that the Phoenix have been able to help him when he gets to those situations and load up behind. Mitch Creek did an excellent job that possession before to cause the turnover.
This has been a good second half for Brockhoff. There's an offensive foul. He's up to 13 points. He's 6 of 10 from the field. Not great from the three-point line, only 1 of 5, but just to see that ball go through, get that scoreboard ticking over.
And he's taken in the deep ones as you'd expect, and what we know. unfortunately, the harsh reality of coming back from COVID or any sort of sickness is the only way to do it is to be out there and build it up. That's the way you've got to try and get through it and get back to peak levels, is just to fight through it. It's good to see from Ryan Brokoff.
Trial by 31 at one stage, Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. Mumford, it was rusty. Brokoff has found, I was going to say found his range, maybe not. Air ball.
But I like the fact they go to him.
Yeah.
And he's just hit one. Let's get him going. Let's get his confidence going. They run a little boomerang action for him off that screen. Comes back and, gee, it's getting real sloppy now for Brisbane.
Mumford can't put it back, but it's been that kind of afternoon.
That's the full court pressure that we highlighted at halftime, Gazy, but it's a complete difference. Everybody's hands are up. They're trying to be active. They've got their up and about right now with a little bit of momentum in this game. They're not sure where the ball's off, so they're going to jump it just to give both teams a chance. But
possession arrow.
That full court pressure, everybody's jumping up and down. Everybody's hands are in the air. That's an intensity that we didn't see in the first half.
So Brisbane ball due to the possession arrow. This will be 11 in a row for Brisbane when they scored 90 or more. So you let them score at your peril. Franks, a good example. Air ball from his hand. It's gone a little cold as well, but he was hot enough when it counted. 2 minutes left. In what's been a Brisbane Bullets clinic here at Nissan Arena. Kyle Adnam.
Well, don't go anywhere, Gazy.
I won't be going anywhere.
Nathan Sobey.
It's been good.
Yeah.
They haven't thrown in the towel. Come back. Admittedly, Brisbane have given a hell of a lot of encouragement. But still good. They're still playing it out.
Simon Mitchell still screaming the instructions. Didn't like the look of that, but a few fans that rose for it with Anthony Drimmick. Loved it. Little push and shove as well. Ryan Brokoff pleading his case.
45. He went up to just put that little punch screen on. This Kyle Adnam just comes down, walks into a 3.
That was really the Simon Mitchell trying to bark the instruction to get up and in. That was really their last chance of trying to, if they got to stop, come down here with 3 ball, would have been a 10-point game, and then they would have really thought they might have had a small little window. But that bucket and our turnovers sealed what looked like a big win for Brisbane. As you said, gave big credit for the Phoenix. And you take away the first quarter, put up 73 points in 3 quarters.
Yeah, we knew the comeback was going to come, but it's come way too late. If there was a 5th quarter, there'd be a chance. As Sobey put it up, and the tip in from Tyrell Harrison, who was awesome early, to set up that huge quarter-time lead, which was 25 for the record if you weren't with us. Brisbane leading 31-6 at quarter-time and opened up a 31-point gap at one stage. Joe Chi thought about the 3. Munford.
Great hustle by Ryan Brokoff there.
Adnam just dropped one from here, straight back at you with another.
That's what he does.
And this scoreline in the book tomorrow is going to not tell the story of this game at all.
Well, it's not. Man, as Gazy said, Brisbane just have been flat since they've had this game sewn up. But there you go. That's the intensity that the Phoenix have shown. In the second half, the first 4 minutes were night and day compared to that first half. And Kyle Adnam doing what he does best, coming off the bench and letting it fly. He's 3 of 3. He shot the ball really well.
And it's all about the first quarters. We saw it against the Sydney Kings in their last game 28 days ago. They came out and, what was it, 14 in the first half there, and only first quarter, excuse me, and only 6 in the first quarter here. So first quarters is something that they need to address.
Highest score this season for the Brisbane Bullets in regulation time. They did score 97 in that double overtime win against the Wildcats in Perth. 96 on the board now. And again, let them score at your peril, and they let them score early. As Sobey is one of the heaviest scorers. He's got 14 points to his name, but when it counted, especially early in the contest, it was ultra reliable.
My word, and both these teams in the season so far have been good at putting points on the board. The Bullets averaging 84 and 88 to the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. But as Hooves was referring to, the history of the last couple of seasons with Phoenix's offense hasn't really, statistically anyway, hasn't been the most significant problem. They've been putting numbers up, getting the scoreboard ticking over. It's been at the other end of the floor where statistically would indicate that the defense hasn't quite been there.
When you look at the roster and talk about guys who have the capabilities to put up a 25, 30-point game. James Glidden, we've seen that in his history. Kyle Adnam's done it. Mumford's done it. Ruben Tarangi's put up 20 points a couple of times here or there. Liafa had his career year, shot what he did last year. And then you got Bokov and Mitch Creek, so there's plenty of scoring on the roster.
Can they get the 100 up? The crowd want them to. Last possession for them. Sobey. Munford takes him on and he fouls him.
He's going to go to the line and shoot a couple of freebies.
To put up the ton. Highest score for the Bullets this season, 98 points. They scored 97, as I mentioned, in that double overtimer.
And I like the fact they're playing it out. So many times we see, particularly in the NBA, the last couple of possessions just, oh, well, put the cue on the rack.
Yeah, they dribble it out. Each team dribbles it out.
Well, this year's going to be that close, and we talk about Bullets. Percentages come into it, which is a massive win. When Simon Mitchell goes back and speaks to the team and they do a review, he's going to be really, really happy with the way they fought back into this one for that reason especially, but also to just build towards this, because this second half, this last 20 minutes, to take that into your next game after everything you've been through. A lot of positives there after not having too many, and a ton up. Nathan Sobey's going to exit. He'll raise the bat, take the helmet off.
Nice.
That was a cricket reference, Casey.
Nice.
Crowd up on their feet as well, showing their appreciation for what has been a delightful afternoon of entertainment from their team as Kyle puts it up, and at least Steve Taylor's got a story to tell. Getting an opportunity in the NBL, given that he just happened to be in the country. Dying seconds, Kadee back out, little step in, Max McKinnon getting some time on the floor. 100 to 84.
Brisbane Bullets be happy with the game in total. They end up giving up 29 points in that last quarter, but you've got to always put that in context of where they're at. An insurmountable lead, and they ploughed it out. It was a little bit of going on, a bit of feeling.
Sure, what's happening
between these two teams? But still, James Duncan, Brisbane Bullets, after a tough outing last week against the New Zealand Breakers, are able to put together a game plan and form at both ends of the floor that was hard not to be impressed with.
Our footlocker player of the game is Robert Franks, who starred again. 17 points from Robert Franks and 10 rebounds to go with it. And the Brisbane Bullets have made a bit of a statement to the rest of the competition. Don't forget about us. Winners by 16, 100 to 84. A lot to love about the Brisbane Bullets' performance this evening. 100-84, their biggest score of the season so far. And in terms of statements, their biggest win of the season so far. And that's saying something given they did beat the Wildcats in Perth earlier this season. Winning by 16. Does it say more about the Bullets or the Phoenix?
I think it says a lot about the Brisbane Bullets. It certainly shows that they can compete with the very best team. Anytime you've gone on the road and beat Perth in Perth, and then you've come back and got a real solid win against a team that most people think are going to be figuring in the finals. But having said that, there is a little asterisk next to it because of what we've seen and what they've had to go through with COVID protocols and not being able to get on the floor a lot. Look at the ladder. There it is. The Phoenix have slipped down to their 4th spot at 3-2. Only played the 5 games. But I still like what they bring into the table. They're a talented team and a disappointing loss for them.
3rd win for the Bullets, the same amount of wins as a lot of people's tip for the championship. South East Melbourne Phoenix. Big double coming away tomorrow. Illawarra and Melbourne United and the Sydney Kings and New Zealand. But stick around for the Amy crossover. Nerily Meadows, Damon Lowry, Kane Pittman, Matty Garrick, looking forward to your company. So stick around for that. A 16-point win in the end for the Brisbane Bullets, but they did lead by as much as 31. It was a demolition job. Been great to have your company. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. 100 plays 84 at the end.
I'm that guy. I'm the man of the year. I'm a man with no fear. I think like I'm a shark. The way I move so sharp. I go hard for the team. That's how I play my part. I'm solid like the foundation. I'm dedicated to.
This program is brought to you by Hungry Jack's and Bunnings Trade.
If you need me, just call me on the radio.
Thank you for grabbing that corner. You nearly got taken out so many times.
One that's coming straight at me. And then my legs up, I'm like, here we go.
Did you see the ball that hit the chair and then you guys are on the other side? I'm so glad you're not there.
I kept trying to reach to pull you back, but I didn't want to like yank you too hard.
It's alright, what happens?
Hello. Sorry.
Smashed in the face.
RS camera up tackle. Last NRL season. Face down.
Wow. I've had a few in my lap. I was saved again at the deal and didn't even bloody apologise. Gets up.
He ran back after a little bit. Meetings. All right. Let's test this one.
Good.
Is it NEP Nissan Arena that I'm letting in? Did you want to test?
Sorry?
I'm going to assume it is.
Yeah.
Do you know? I don't know. That's the one.
That's the one. I need to see if I can get Benny back.
Yeah, maybe.
Just says connecting to audio.
I don't want to click something and screw it all.
Yeah, you can connect. I think
Yeah, just
connect to the audio. But we'll need to get the video. Turn the video on. Yeah, perfect.
That's not coming out of the webcam, though, is it?
It's
No.
no, but
Yeah, that's you.
that's me. It's like we're in that weird phase of, you know. Alright, I'll let everyone in. That's it. Alright. This seat outside. No.
Let me out.
Alright, I'll go get Phoenix. Considering none of the three of us currently do this, and every time someone else does, it's never the right thing.
Are we de-rigging everything?
No, just what we did yesterday.
Which was? Cue balls.
CCUs and cue balls. So we've got, you need to pull back both of the 70s for this camera.
Yep.
We'll fully de-rig 70 for 3. We'll pull back the tank power on the cue ball truck.
Oh, yeah.
That's fine. Let me run upstairs.
Yep.
And 2 multi-core fibers down the now. That's all I remember. There might be more.
Which cue?
Oh, and there's a fiber, the beauty shop upstairs with a communication as well. That's all easy enough stuff. So I might start with that. I don't know.
Yeah. Surely he will have de-rigged all 3 by now.
Okay, that's so easy.
Yeah, true. Where is he? It's a much nicer bump out time than the 11 p.m. AFL bump out.
Oh yeah. Same as netball.
Yeah.
Netball's fairly easy. Cricket bump outs to 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Cricket's right.
I was on Big Bash League the other day. That wasn't too bad. Those games are pretty quick.
I stay far away from cricket cable.
Yeah.
I'll COVID cup any cricket game. Ask me to cable in it.
So the
I'll
cricket,
probably do it, but I won't like it.
the cricket ones, you don't even do anything though. Like mid-match, you're sitting there watching the game. You're not actually doing anything.
Yeah, but for some of them, the rig and the de-rig is gnarly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the food at the cab is always shit.
So bad.
And the food at Metricon's
Metricon's
shit.
worse. Yeah.
We had pizza. We were there for 2 weeks and we had pizza for dinner 11 times.
Jeez.
Yeah.
What?
I think my favourite was I was at I think I was at Metricon. No, I was at Suncorp one night for an NRL, and we had roast beef and veggies. Suncorp meals aren't terrible; they're just huge. They're too much and overwhelming and only not good. And then the next day we came here for the netball grand final, It was roast beef and veggies, but a significantly smaller portion.
Yeah.
Too small, in fact. Broadcast food is bad. It was my first cricket game. One of my first cricket games. I went up with Akash, and he's like, "Oh, do you want to go to Macca's afterwards and grab a beer?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And we're sitting at Macca's, and I was so tired because it was my first cable hand job on a cricket ever, that I dropped all of my food on the ground. And a bunch of spectators were watching, because all the spectators were over, and they all started yelling at me because the Heat just won. Why am I not happy about it? I just took my fucking food and I want to go home. And I had crowds of people yelling at me about why I should be so excited right now.
Yeah, the test cricket's just long days.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Unless you want to hang out in here, Liam. I reckon you could probably help.
Yeah, I agree. Very good.
He's coiling an 8, so.
It's not a good start.
I'll have to re-8 it.
Leave me a message if you want me back here to deal with all this.
Thank you.
All good.
How we doing, guys?
Good, how are you?
Hey. Hey, girl.
All right, you can fire away here. Greg, I think you're on mute.
I'm mute. Fair enough. Simon, what you put that first quarter down to tonight, and how much of the fact that you had such a long break contributed to that first quarter performance, do you think?
Sorry, Greg, that was coming in and out. Can you just ask that again, mate?
I'll try again. Mate, talk us through the first quarter from your perspective, and how much of that performance can you attribute to the long break between games?
Well, it's definitely had to have contributed. We looked like we were stuck in mud. We rotated pretty quickly, and the guys who came in looked like they were stuck in mud too. So there wasn't really any sort of re-up coming off the bench, which is unusual, to have that many guys who look like they're a little sluggish. So, there's a reason for it. We haven't had the ability to get up and down with any consistency over that 28 days. But, you got to have a look at where Brisbane was at too. They were really good, very efficient. They cut us to ribbons with their execution. They worked hard on the boards. I think to talk about us and where we were at and the things we were going through probably takes a little bit too much away from the performance they put on, backing up after their game the other night.
You must have been, I don't know if proud's the word, but your team kept fighting it out, didn't you? Like that could have been a blowout, but the final score, you hung in there, and in the second half you kept fighting a good fight.
Well, yeah, we had to utilise the time wisely. We haven't been able to get up and down the floor with our group. And so to sort of kiss the game away at half time and say, okay, let's just get through uninjured and whatnot, it's not the way to go. We had to use that time wisely to try and get ourselves a little bit of synchronicity amongst the guys, to get a little bit of air in the lungs and blow out a few cobwebs in the legs. So it was really, we had to utilise the time, and we were fortunate to execute a little bit. The heat had gone out of the game a little bit too. So again, I don't want to take too much or take anything away from Brisbane and say, okay, we were back. We showed them in the second half. That's not the case at all. They were really strong, and yeah, we had to utilise that time wisely. It's important that we spend every moment together whilst we're healthy to try and get better.
What's the focus? I think your next game's the Jack Jumpers next weekend. Well, what's the focus between now and then?
Staying COVID free is the number one priority. So making sure that our protocols are precise. Using this week to get up and down the floor. I think it's really important that these guys, as we've brought guys back through into the group, we haven't really been able to get up and down just because we had to sort of wait till the guy got his lungs back. So this week, with everyone back on deck, or almost everybody, we'll use that time to try and get our legs under us.
And last one for me is for Ryan. Ryan, they were saying in the call that you only sort of got out of the COVID protocols yesterday or the day before. Did you feel like the longer the game went, the better you felt because you were getting some air in the lungs and some miles in the legs?
Yeah, absolutely. I was lucky. I had pretty mild symptoms, but yeah, a week at home and not being able to sort of do too much, and a few days just, pretty fatigued. It took a little while to get going, and once it kind of hit the second half, I don't think it was just me. Everyone seemed to find their wind and find the energy that we needed from the start. It's part of life at the moment. Every team's kind of going through it, but it's encouraging to see that even though we started so poorly, that we could take something from the second half and build and find something for us in a positive way after a pretty dismal performance.
I'll jump in here. Ryan, Simon, this is Joseph from the NBL Pocket Podcast. Nice to see you both. My question is for Simon. I'm a bit frustrated because we're here and we can have an intellectual conversation about matchups and whatever. COVID's just cast its ugly spell over this game. My question to you is, the man to your right, Simon, normally a starter, sat on the bench. Are the lines of communication open to talk about how these players are and whether they're ready or not? Because, it was a surprise to most in the commentary that Ryan didn't start. So, yeah, that's my question. So, as a fan, I'm sitting here a little bit frustrated and ill-informed. So, is there the lines of communication to communicate that to the broadcast and elsewhere?
Sorry, who am I communicating it to, Joseph? The broadcast?
Yeah, broadcast and I guess the fans in general and people talking about the league.
Well, in lead up to the game?
Yeah, for like game time decisions like that, I suppose.
It wasn't a game time decision, Joseph. Look, our starting lineup is given early in the day to our media manager. It goes up on, from what I understand, it goes up on social media, so people who are engaged in that would know that who our starting five is going to be. I don't know when that goes up, to be honest. But yeah, when you've got guys coming off, lengthy breaks and not being able to work out with the team, then you don't really want to put them out there in the first couple of minutes where the energy is really very high. A lot of nervous energy gets burnt and you fatigue a lot quicker. So it was really just about looking after our athlete.
And I don't think we should take away anything from Ruben either. You should see him at training every day. He's doing wonderful things, and from a matchup perspective, it made sense with him. And who am I trying to think of right now? Patterson, being able to kind of put a big body on Patterson, like it's not just our team is so deep that this starting lineups can change, by performance through the week, by guys coming in and out. It's a credit to Ruben and how well he's performed over not just this last week, but over the whole season, especially behind closed doors when we're going at each other. He's really performing. So he deserved the start, and our lineup's probably going to be flexible with who's available, who's healthy, and who's playing well.
Lastly, from me, did we get a Brisbane Southeast Melbourne matchup? This just felt totally deflated by COVID. I know you guys aren't going to make excuses, but that's just how it looked. Did we get a fair representation?
Well, until we get to present ourselves in another way, then that is the only way it is. I think you'll find, we were talking about it just before, myself and Creaky, and when you go into pre-season, and this is what it's really been like a little bit. It's been like a disrupted pre-season, I guess, this last 28 days. In that when you play a game you play your first pre-season game, and you play the other team, and they've already played a pre-season game, they usually come out and jump you for whatever reason. It's just that they're fresher, they've been at the tempo, they've been able to assess what's required, whereas you do everything you can to try and replicate that. But at times you just don't have the ability to replicate it because of numbers or health or whatever the reasons are. I had that feeling about it a little bit early, that it was like, okay, these guys are sharp. They had the run the other week, and you could even see it in, I guess, a little bit in us that the second half we were moving a little bit better. And I would like to think that in our next game we'll be moving a lot better. But I understand that it's frustrating for fans. It's frustrating for us as well. It is frustrating, but this is what we've got to deal with. Everybody's going to have to deal with it, and whoever deals with it best is probably going to end up putting rings on their fingers at the end of the season, because it's really important that regardless of the situations that you find yourself in, that you find a way to battle through.
Thanks for the candor, gents. Appreciate it.
Coach, can you perhaps draw a little bit of inspiration or motivation from the Bullets, given that last week they were very much in the same position you were, and they suffered a loss to the Breakers, which they perhaps would think they should have won, but then they've come out this week and performed like this. Is that something that you can perhaps draw upon for your next match now that you have?
I don't think we'll be talking about it too much during the week. Is like, let's be like the Bullets, but I think it's truthful that if you've got a little bit of a run in your legs, that you're going to have be in a good position. Now, I think we're going to see a few of these games throughout the course of the year where you're looking at a team. And now I was watching the Brisbane New Zealand game, and I was thinking the same thing. I was like, man, some of those guys look a little heavy in the legs, and a little bit off, just a half split second off in their execution, and you see it. And you put it down to, I guess they've probably not had their numbers at practice and not had their team together, and that's going to happen. Our job is to prepare ourselves as best we can with what we've got and where we're at.
Thanks, Coach. That's it for me.
Any last questions? All right, thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys.
I'm going to move it outside so that I can break it down.
Oh, look at this.
Oh, it's a joke. Because that's the way to do it. Oh, I don't.
Appreciate that, lady. Please, a bit more. Perfect.
Grab their little bag. Where it is. I'm assuming you'll have one before you walk back.
That last bit. I didn't hear him get those closing shots. Normally, I don't know what I was thinking, whatever. They were right down the other end, I didn't race down quick enough.
How you guys doing?
Thank you. How are you?
I'm a little bit sore, but happy.
So we got another tick under the belt.
Yes, sir. Put some shoes on, man. You'll learn. You'll learn. Thank you. Oh, it's just for
Yeah.
Not really.
But if you want to drink it,
you're not really bringing it for
if
me.
you drink it, it adds to it.
I see how it is.
If you drink it, it adds to it, though.
All right, you're welcome to start.
No dramas. James, obviously the first quarter was outstanding for the Bullets tonight. What pleased you most about the performance tonight?
We played the right way. The guys took the challenge to step on the floor and just play the right way, bring more energy, bring more effort, all the things that we've been talking about throughout the regular season, even in the preseason. And we were just more consistent in the first quarter and then throughout the game until the fourth.
I mean, it's been well documented that the Phoenix were coming off a 28-day break, but what did your performance tonight show? What did it say about the Bullets going forward and what sort of impact you can have on this season?
Well, to address, COVID's a real thing. So it's affecting all the teams within the league. And so, but in saying that, we understand that we have the pieces to compete and win some of these games. But now it's a challenge for us to, win another game and another game, and that's a big challenge for us right now. So it's been win one, lose one, or lose one, win one, but now we want to try to win a couple in a row. Excuse me.
Jace, firstly, congratulations on your 100th game for the Bullets. Mate, it seemed a very even performance out there tonight. There's so many contributors all across the floor. Do you feel like this group's capable of something special if it can play somewhere near that level consistently?
Thank you for that. I just got told that just before, so I didn't even know. Yeah, I think so. It's about, as JD just said before, we've got to be consistent. And it's not even consistent at Sobes having 25, Lamar having 20. It's not even that. It's just doing little things. And I think once our group can do that, like you've seen the impact LP had in the first 4 minutes. Just got people lay up. We're up 11-0 or whatever it was. Like, it's just doing the little things, and then down the other end, taking care of the ball, rebounding, and if we can do that stuff consistently, which we're trying to get to, I think we can start to string together games, which is going to be a challenge in this league, and you've got to be good to do it. And we're trying to find our feet, and tonight's a good way to bounce back after last week and the COVID break and all that kind of stuff.
Was it a focus for you guys, knowing that the Phoenix hadn't played for so long, to really hit them hard, hit them early in that first quarter and put a gap in them at that stage, knowing that they might be a bit heavy in the legs?
I said before the game to the group, we spoke before we ran out, and I said that was us last week, fellas. We all know how we felt in that first half. It's the way it is at the moment. I don't know how many people were affected in their group, but I know how we were and how we tried to get going last week, and it took some time. And so at the end of the day, regardless of what happened with them, with us, we still had to come out and play the right way to get a result, and we did that. And so I'm pretty proud of the group. We've had a good week of training, and it was nice for that to show out tonight.
James, the big fella, Lou, is his best game of the season so far. Do you think coming up against his compatriot fired him up a bit and brought the best out of him?
I believe so. I hope so. But I think the matchups just suited us. So there's been so much going on with the travel, and even last game where I believe he got a cut on his arm and he had to come out of the game, and then we couldn't just get him back in the game because then Jack came in and he started playing well. So it was just some of those things have happened through the course of the season, and but I'm super happy for him that he was able to come and impact the game the right way. And yeah, as I said a few minutes ago, it's about matchups, and tonight's matchup was good for him.
That's all from me. Thanks, boys.
James, before this match, the top three teams in the league were Perth, Illawarra and South East Melbourne. You've now beaten all three of those teams. What do you think that says about the Bullets and how competitive this team is in this competition this season?
Yeah, I mean, we can... Every game, every team, you can't just rock up, right? And so we understand that we can beat the top teams, but then we understand that we can lose to the mid-level. Well, I shouldn't say the mid-level teams, but the teams that aren't doing as well at this point in the season. And so our mindset, we have to improve. We have to learn from these 6 games to understand that there's a way to play basketball, and when we play the right way, we will have success. And that's the challenge. And I continue to say that to the group, and this is the message that's going forward. It's nice to beat some of these top teams, but we got to take care of some of the business especially when we're at home, and we have opportunities to get on a little bit of a streak now.
Brilliant. And Jason, considering the loss last weekend, how much of a motivation was it to come out here tonight, really put on a show in front of your home fans?
Yeah, massive. This place is such a great environment. Like, since we moved here as an organisation, I've really loved playing here. It's a great buzz and it's a great feel that you get in the arena. And so I think you're always disappointed when you lose at home because you feel the pain of the people that want to come and watch and enjoy it. And so when the place gets rocking like it does tonight, it just really, it adds a different avenue. And we've had a lot going on the last few weeks, COVID. Sobes had a baby last week. I had a baby last night. Like, there's been a lot happening. And so when you roll out today and there's that kind of environment, everything goes away and you just want to worry about winning a basketball game and having fun. And so that's a big part of sport. And it's when you can make it that environment, you just want to be part of it as often as you can.
Fantastic. That's all from me. Thanks, guys.
Jace, just give us a few details about the baby.
Yeah, it's been a long night, Greg. 2 a.m. birth, 5:30 sleep. Thank God this wasn't a 1 o'clock game, or I needed that few extra hours. So it's been a busy 24 hours.
So what did you have, Jay?
A little girl, boy and girl, so I split them both. So is Sobes, so it's been very good. Little Scarlet. Yeah, Jasmine was elite, so women are incredible. That's one thing I'll say.
Thanks, mate. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Are you good to go? Thank you.
Thanks, fellas.
Susie, you can tell Susie's voice.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Great job. Didn't you know? No.
He owes you a massage now. Hey, Jackie, where's his hand? You all right? He owes you a massage now.